Chapter 607. Wave Moon Kick was a leg technique that Li Fan learned from Wyvern, and it kicked out a half-moon wave. Li Fan couldn't be far away from Su Su and Bai Lin Luo. Bai Lin Luo was fine, but Su Su and the two special soldiers were here, and they couldn't deal with the attacks of these warlock team. Li Fan noticed that each of these warlock team members was riding an electric scooter. This scooter was also high-tech. There were no wheels under the scooter, and it seemed to use a magnetic levitation method, allowing the scooter to float on the ground and carry the warlock team quickly. This made Li Fan think of Chen Junhua of Huashan. This kid could also use a big sword as a hoverboard to step on. After all, it was a secret elite force cultivated by the government, and the warlock team gave Li Fan a headache. Bang, bang, bang. The warlock team spat out a second round of fireballs. These fireballs were no longer thrown into the air, but directly bounced towards Li Fan from all directions. Moreover, they didn't attack at the same time. This long team attacked according to the echelon. There were about 10 people in a team, and the front of the team attacked first, and then the back. The fireballs bounced towards Li Fan one after another. With Su Su and the others around, Li Fan seemed to be a little restrained, and he frowned deeply. He was fully focused on protecting Su Su and the others. The great god of war collapsed, and it would take some time to recuperate before he could come out. Li Fan used his strong body and the crane's hand to hit the fireballs in front of him again and again. The two special soldiers were not inferior. They pulled the trigger, and the bullets constantly pierced through the fireballs, reducing the burden on Li Fan. Li Fan, I'll help too. Bai Lin Luo said, opened his card bag, and chose Wang Xiaoyuan's good person card. Wang Xiaoyuan picked up the shield in her hand and raised it to block the fireballs around her. However, Wang Xiaoyuan's strength was too low. Her shield broke after blocking two of these fireballs. Li Fan thought of something. He reached into his pocket and took out the golden card. Murong, the war goddess of Leo constellation. S-rank good guy card. Li Fan threw out the good guy card. Black clouds suddenly gathered in the sky, and a golden light directly broke through the clouds, landing in front of Li Fan and the others, smashing a pit in the ground. A woman clad in golden lion armor stood in front of Li Fan and the others. The woman carried a lion head shield on her back and a flying lion sword on her waist. She looked valiant and formidable without losing her prestige. She placed her hands in front of her and used her arms to block all the fireballs in front of her. However, her armor was not damaged at all. There was not even a speck of dust on it. It was still shining brightly. Fuck me, Bai Lin Luo swallowed his saliva. They were both Leo warriors, the difference in levels was too big. Looking at Wang Xiaoyuan, she only had a few simple armor pieces on her body, a small round shield, and a small short sword. She was simply a poor commoner. Looking at Murong, she was really a Leo goddess of war. That beautiful golden armor was carved with the shape of a lion. And her golden lion shield and flying lion sword looked to be top-grade weapons. They could instantly kill Wang Xiaoyuan. The difference between S-rank and B-rank is too big, Bai Lin Luo couldn't help but be a little envious. Murong stood there, looking at the warlock team in front of her, and pulled out the flying lion sword on her waist. Different from Carlos's golden-laid third-rate sword, this flying lion sword had a pure golden blade. When the blade was unsheathed, golden light shone in all directions. She took off the golden lion shield on her back with her other hand and held it in her hand, walking toward the warlock team step by step. Bang, bang, bang. The warlock team kept shooting fireballs at her, but when they hit her shield, they all bounced to the side. It was unknown what material Murong Ying's golden lion shield was made of, but it was very special. It couldn't be said that its defense was very strong, it was basically immune to attacks. Murong Ying slowly walked to the front of a warlock, waved her sword, and the flying lion sword cut off his head. The remaining warlocks were so scared that they peed their pants and hurriedly stepped on their scooters, scattering in all directions. This time, their long snake formation was directly thrown into chaos. Big brother, How about, you return Murong Ying's good person card to me, Bai Lin Luo begged dryly. Ha, you wish. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. As expected of his wife, she was so fucking energetic. Murong Ying was like an undefeatable god of war, chasing after the warlock team step by step. She didn't care about the fireballs around her, which hit the shield and bounced off. Even if it exploded on her body, it only set off a wave of fire before dispersing, not even the armor was damaged. When this Murong Ying's good person card came out, the muscles on Scarface's face twitched. Fuck, what the hell is this? There was no such woman in Scarface's information. This fellow's appearance was definitely an accident. Did you take them down? The voice of the military committee's chairman came from Scarface's earphone. No, it was a bit unexpected. Unexpected? I gave the warlock team to you. The roar of the military committee chairman. The information you gave was wrong. Scarface suppressed his anger. You didn't say that they have an invulnerable war goddess. What war goddess? How could they have such a person? The military committee chairman was stunned for a moment, then reprimanded Scarface. I have checked everyone on their ship. What invulnerable war goddess? How could there be such an expert? He suddenly remembered something and said, but, on their ship, there is a kid named Bai Lin Luo. He is a summoner-type mutant. You idiot, don't you know the ability of a summoner? But this woman that was summoned is too terrifying. The warlock team's attacks are useless against her. Scarface saw the war goddess kill a few more warlock team members. His eyes turned green. Where did this woman come from? How could a summoned beast be so powerful? Scarface felt some heartache when he saw the warlock team being chased around like chicks. As a last resort, we can only use number 0. Scarface heard the order and was momentarily stunned. You, sure? That thing hasn't passed the final test. This is the best test. The military committee chairman said, plus, you heard what I said before. I said, this is a last resort. Do you understand the meaning of these words? The military committee chairman began to roar. What it means is, you fucker, hurry up and do it. Scarface sighed, hung up the phone and gave the order to his subordinates. In the sky, a helicopter flew over and dropped a metal capsule, heavily landing on the ground. Chapter 608. Boom. Similar to Goddess of War Murong Ying's appearance, this metal capsule also smashed a hole on the ground. The metal capsule suddenly popped open and sprayed out a white mist. A bare-chested man was imprisoned inside. The man looked like a foreigner. He had blonde hair and blue eyes, but his hair reached his waist. He also had a messy beard. He looked like a barbarian who had escaped from somewhere. His body was covered with knife wounds, making his body feel like it was broken. This man wore a metal hat on top of his head with a cable connected to the metal capsule. He walked out of the capsule in a daze with a dull look in his eyes. Who is this bro? Li Fan looked at the blonde man who walked out of the capsule and was puzzled. I don't know, but he should be their secret weapon. Susu said. This group of people, what tricks are they playing now? Ignore him, Susu. It's time for you, the strategic weapon, to make your move. Kill him. Li Fan ordered Susu, but Susu shook her head. No, my ability can only be used within 10 meters. He is too far away from me, I can't use my ability. Fuck, Li Fan protected Susu and the rest. Looking at the blonde man, his brows couldn't loosen even if he wanted to. Since this guy is the secret weapon of the Joint Military Committee, he must have come with ill intentions. This Joint Military Committee is really tyrannical. An arbitration organization actually wants to use lynching to try me, and even sent these killers to kill me. The existence of this organization is an insult to human rights and the law. Their behavior was a retrogression of civilization. Sooner or later, they will be nailed to the pillar of shame in history. Li Fan coldly looked at the warlocks who continued to besiege him. As for the man who was being controlled, he also received a new order and placed his gaze on him. This man stretched out his hand and a terrifying shockwave suddenly tore through the ground and directly arrived in front of Li Fan and the rest. Protect! Li Fan shouted. The great god of war finally popped out at this moment. His body floated down and his arms blocked in front of him, protecting Li Fan and the rest. Bang! The ground around them was lifted up. The rocks, earth, and trees behind them were also sent flying. It's psychic power. Susu immediately said, powerful mental strength. This man, he's at least an S-class mutant. Maybe even higher. The man stretched out his hand again, and a huge boulder beside him broke apart, leaving behind a huge boulder that was over 10 meters long. It was lifted into the air, and soon, it was above Li Fan's head. Then, like the weight of Mount Tai, it came crashing down. Boom! Li Fan's Ursa Major seal directly smashed the boulder into pieces. The 10 broken pieces fell down and were blocked by the goddess of battles, Muronging, who had returned to Li Fan's side. Ah! The man suddenly screamed, as if there was a wave of sound coming from his mouth. With him as the radius, a terrifying circular ripple spread out in all directions. Just like that, it rushed out and crushed the surrounding trees. The warlock team retreated early, as if they already knew of this guy's prowess. They all ran away. This time, Muronging blocked in front of Li Fan and smashed the Golden Lion battle shield into the ground. Holy shield defense. A male lion emitted light, blocking the sound wave, allowing Li Fan and the rest to be safe and sound. The 1-meter-thick black iron walls behind them were distorted by the impact of the sound wave. From this, it can be seen how terrifying this person's sound wave is. Li Fan secretly thought that even if he were to face this sound wave head-on, he might not be able to completely block it. Strong, simply too strong. Li Fan really wanted to know where these guys found such a powerful expert. You protect them, I'll be back soon. Li Fan decided to fight this guy alone. He kept his war god and used his chi condensation technique to form a coat around his body. Li Fan faced the sound wave and slowly walked out of the Holy Shield's defense. The chi on his body was slowly distorted by the impact. In the face of such a powerful sound wave, Li Fan really couldn't take it. He walked with difficulty toward the golden-haired man in the center. Li Fan's chi condensation technique was evolved from the war god, but at this moment, a thin layer of chi coat could no longer block such a terrifying sound wave. Before long, the chi on Li Fan's body would be shattered, and then he would be completely torn to pieces by this sound wave. Scarface stood far away, watching this scene through binoculars, and subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. This kid is finally going to be killed. No matter how powerful he is, he can't be a match for Zero. Zero is the Joint Military Committee's secret weapon, built with countless manpower and material resources. However, he still has some experiments that he didn't pass, so he didn't use it. Otherwise, if he used a complete Zero, he might be able to defeat the whole world. Damn it, Li Fan really wanted to curse. This guy. Where did he get such a strong mental strength? Li Fan felt that his chi was getting thinner, and danger seemed to be coming soon. But he suddenly thought of someone, and that was Carlos. Carlos was the idiotic leader of the Knights of Holy Light, but his combat energy was indeed not bad. Chi, battle energy, different paths lead to the same goal. Li Fan thought, what if he used his chi in the same way as battle energy? He began to increase the density of his chi, and continuously squeezed out more chi from his dantian. Li Fan fully used his imagination, imagining the chi as a battle armor, and put it on his body. Turning the chi into armor. This was Li Fan's bold imagination. At this moment, Li Fan's dantian was quickly producing chi. It was like a V8 engine, constantly pressing out more chi to protect Li Fan's body. Pure yang constitution. Li Fan's body suddenly shone brightly, and the blue and white chi was burning into a golden-red color. It was as if Li Fan was wearing a suit of armor, looking awe-inspiring. Golden armor. Li Fan was now the god of war, and his pupils turned golden. This golden armor could not strengthen Li Fan's combat power, but it greatly enhanced his defense, making him really look like a general in armor. In order to deal with these mutants, Li Fan forced his chi to evolve. Li Fan walked toward the opposite side step by step, leaving a deep footprint on the ground with each step. At this moment, even the scar-faced man in the distance felt a terrifying pressure from Li Fan. Everything around the blonde man was destroyed. Except for the metal capsule, that thing seemed to have some special protection, and only it was safe and sound. Li Fan walked in front of him and was slightly stunned. Chapter 609. Although the blonde man was releasing a terrifying power, 2 lines of tears flowed out of his eyes. When Li Fan saw this scene, his body trembled slightly. This guy actually cried? A dignified expert has now fallen to such a state. Are you crying for this? Li Fan's voice was wrapped in true chi from 1,000 miles away and directly transmitted to the blonde man's ear. The blonde man didn't speak, nor did he have any expression. He just continued to shed tears. Retreat immediately. Scarface had already brought all the Warlock team onto the helicopter. He looked down and said faintly, "Let Zero attack with all his strength." Are you crazy? The chairman of the Joint Military Committee was in a video conference with Scarface. When he heard this, he flew into a rage. Are you going to kill the only clue? Watch your tone, I'm the commander on the scene. Scarface said bluntly, Li Fan's fighting strength is amazing. If Zero doesn't go all out, it's impossible to defeat Li Fan. Zero at full throttle is a world-class disaster. The chairman reminded Scarface loudly, are you going to destroy everything? You want to catch Li Fan, and you want to activate Zero. I'm just completing your mission. Scarface said very indifferently, since Li Fan is so powerful, a disaster can't kill him, but it's enough to seriously injure him. At that time, I can naturally use the Warlock team to completely defeat him and then capture him for you. But, the chairman, who was shouting to activate Zero, hesitated at this time. Do you have a better idea? Scarface pointed the camera down and zoomed in. Li Fan, dressed in golden armor, stood proudly in front of Zero, completely unharmed. The surrounding ground was lifted up several layers, proving how terrifying the blonde man was. This scene touched the chairman's heartstrings. He was shocked. I agree. To execute your plan, the chairman gave the order. In the military committee, he was now the highest executive officer. Although he didn't have the power to arrest a temporary law enforcer from China, Li Fan must be taken down. Everything is for the law and justice. He shouted confidently. Scarface sneered and gave the order. Let Zero use the maximum horsepower, and then fuck the law and justice. As soon as he finished speaking, a row of blue lights suddenly lit up on the helmet on Zero's head. Zero's eyes suddenly widened, and at the same time, his eyes became bloodshot. Bang! Li Fan was shaken to the point of swaying, because a powerful force burst out from the golden-haired man's body. The entire island shook, and a crack appeared on the Golden Lion's defense. All of the trees and buildings on the island were broken and destroyed. But this was only the first wave. The golden-haired man spread open his arms, and the shrill scream from his mouth began to be ear-piercing. Wave after wave rushed out, and the entire island began to slowly collapse. The huge black iron walls that sealed the island were also shaken to the side, and huge waves were set off. Flying Dragon and Big Dipper stood on the deck of Li Fan's ship, frowning as they looked at the crumbling island in the distance. Beside them were the corpses of many invaders. Lu Xiaohu hid in the cabin, shivering. With the island as the center, circular waves rolled out from the surface of the sea, spreading in all directions. Scarface sat in the helicopter, watching the scene below. His expression was calm, but the slight shock in his eyes betrayed his inner thoughts. Zero, who was at full power, was really a disaster, just like the chairman said. Power, this is Zero's power. The chairman, who had been worried just now, saw this scene through the camera. He became so excited that his face twisted. See? This is power. We have this power, we can benefit mankind. Yes, benefit mankind. The Golden Lion's defense was full of cracks. It was unknown when it would collapse together with the island. Li Fan stood closest to the disaster. He looked at the golden-haired man's eyes. The golden-haired man was still crying. This time, it was red tears of blood. The blood tears flowed down his cheeks, and when they dripped down his face, they were shattered by his power. Don't cry. Li Fan suddenly said, whether good or bad, you must have been a man of indomitable spirit. Now that you have fallen to such a state, it's really pitiful. I, Li Fan, will help you free yourself. Li Fan said, pulled out his hero's sword and threw it into the air. The hero's sword immediately spun and flew to the top of the golden-haired man's head, teetering on the verge of falling. Transcend. Li Fan suddenly withdrew the true qi in his body. At that moment, his body was shaken to the point that countless wounds appeared on his body. Blood spurted out. God Slayer. A thunderbolt came down from the hero's sword and directly hit the golden-haired man. The golden-haired man's spiritual power was much stronger than Mr. Yang's. This thunderbolt turned his body into charcoal, but his head remained intact. His head fell to the ground. He closed his eyes and a smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Puff! Li Fan half knelt on the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. This golden-haired man is really not a fucking mortal. His spiritual power is too strong. The island began to collapse. Muronging jumped to Li Fan's side, stretched out her hand and picked him up. Because he was wearing the full lion golden armor, Muronging was able to pick up Li Fan without any problem. Run! Bai Lin Luo had already asked Wang Xiaoyuan to grab him and Susu. He also asked the Gemini Susu soldiers to carry the two special forces soldiers and quickly rushed towards the small cruise ship on the sea. Muronging carried Li Fan and jumped 7 to 8 meters away, chasing after Bai Lin Luo and the others. But at this time, the scarred man personally piloted an armed helicopter and flew above their heads, aiming at them. The barrel of the gun turned, and a dense barrage of bullets rained down on them. At this time, Li Fan did not have any true energy to protect him. However, Muronging quickly turned around and used her back to block Li Fan. Dang, dang, dang. The bullets bounced off Murong-Ying's back, splashing golden sparks. The scarred man continued to shoot, and the bullets were like rain. Murong-Ying could not move, and the island would completely sink into the sea at any time. The island had already cracked open, and many of the ground began to split apart, drifting to both sides with the sea. If this continued, Li Fan and the others would be in danger at any time. Because summoning-type mutants, their summons had a major weakness, that was, they could not touch seawater. Chapter 610. Once the summon comes into contact with seawater, it will immediately lose its effect. Although this is a bit annoying, it can't be helped. Superpowers are such a strange thing. Damn it! Bai Lin Luo pushed his glasses. He was already standing on the deck. No problem, leave it to me. Big Dipper stood on the boat and looked at the armed helicopter in the sky. He extended his left foot and drew a semicircle on the ground before landing on the other side. He spread his legs and lowered into a horse stance. A breath was drawn out from his dantian and gathered in his fist. Big Dipper's white beard fluttered as if he was an immortal. Ha! Big Dipper suddenly roared and directly punched out. This was the first time seeing Big Dipper directly punch. And the tail of the armed helicopter that was firing in the sky was directly blown off. The helicopter spun in the air and fell towards the sea. Scarface jumped down from the helicopter without hesitation and plunged into the sea. Phew! Big Dipper let out a mouthful of turbid air and slowly stopped. Senior Big Dipper, your starshine myrtle is truly unparalleled. Fei Long respectfully cupped his hands towards Big Dipper. Such a powerful fist technique is worthy of respect. You flatter me, you flatter me. Big Dipper stroked his beard and smiled. Compared to Chief Escort's 7-hero fist, it's still too lacking. Li Fan's 7-hero fist was currently ranked 8th in the Divine Skill Manual. After defeating many Dragon Hall experts in a row, Li Fan's 7-hero fist rose from 10th to 8th place. And he himself also successfully fought his way into the top 100 of the Pugilistic World's celebrity ranking, currently ranked 88th. From now on, there will be more and more challengers looking for Li Fan to compete with him. Bang! Muronging hugged Li Fan and jumped onto the boat. She completed the final task and turned back into a good person card and fell down. Bai Lin Luo subconsciously reached out to catch it. Unexpectedly, this good person card emitted a circle of golden light and actually jolted Bai Lin Luo back 3 or 4 steps. This good person card fell into Li Fan's pocket and then disappeared. Amazing, Bai Lin Luo was a little surprised. This good person card seemed to have some kind of special power. It actually resisted its master's summons and only wanted to stay by Li Fan's side. It seems like this good guy card is also a fortuitous encounter. Bai Lin Luo couldn't explain this kind of thing, so he could only say it was fate. Susu hugged Li Fan and helped him back to the cabin. Meanwhile, Big Dipper and Flying Dragon stood on the deck and were responsible for escorting the ship. A few armed helicopters continued to chase after the small cruise ship. Fei Long sneered. Standing on the deck, he turned around and kicked. A whirlwind flew out and was sent into the sea. The whirlwind was very violent. It instantly sucked up the seawater and formed a waterspout. The assault helicopters could not dodge in time and were pulled in by the waterspout, and were torn apart. The Flying Dragon retracted its leg. Big Dipper stroked his beard and smiled. Fei Long, your Stormwind kick has also reached perfection. You flatter me, Senior. As the chief escort, I have to show some ability. You're right, you're right. The two of them stood on the deck like two terrifying door gods, hurting the approaching assault helicopters. Meanwhile, Li Fan was currently lying in his room. As the ship moved, his body slowly swayed, but his condition was a lot more stable. Li Fan, nothing can happen to you. If something happens to you, you won't be able to get your remaining 1 million back. Susu crouched beside Li Fan's bed and couldn't help but gently caress Li Fan's face. This man. He really has a fatal charm. Women can't help but want to like him. When she first received the mission to invite Li Fan, she actually didn't think much of this so-called martial artist. In her mind, martial artists were just a bunch of people who only knew how to fight. How could they understand the world of mutants? However, Li Fan's actions proved his strength and the strength of martial artists. Susu originally thought the world of mutants was very mysterious and very scary. People lived in a world where the truth was hidden from them, and they lived much more happily than she did. However, after coming into contact with Li Fan, she realized that the world of martial artists was even more unfathomable and dangerous. If Li Fan got involved in this unexpected disaster because of her, Susu would regret it for the rest of her life. He helped her so many times, but she couldn't be of any use at the crucial moment. 1 million. I have to give. Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes. Perhaps due to exhaustion, he slowly said, You're 25,000. Give it to me too, motherfucker. Susu angrily punched Li Fan's chest. Bai Lin Luo, who just fed Li Fan 2 recovery pills, jumped in fright. What's wrong with this girl? Fuck. You're too violent. No wonder you know how to crush eggs. Li Fan sat up and slightly moved his upper body. Fortunately, I brought Luo Xiaofeng's pills, otherwise I might really have to lie down for a few days. This time, Li Fan's true qi is completely used up. If the true qi is completely used up, the dantian will dry up. If he wants to restore the true qi in his body, it would usually take months or even years. Why do I say that? Because the true qi in the human body is cultivated from the dantian. The true qi in the dantian must circulate through the meridians once to make the true qi stronger. When two people fight, to say that they exhausted their true qi is actually an exaggeration. Usually, they would leave about 10%. This 10% is used as a foundation in the body, continuing to circulate through the meridians, so that the lost true qi can slowly recover. If the true qi is completely used up, even the meridians can't circulate anymore, then how can the true qi be recovered? The only way is to recuperate, regulate, and let the true qi slowly grow out. It's like using water from a faucet that was not tightened to fill a bucket of water. It takes a long time. Leaving 10% of the true qi in the body is the foundation. But this time, in order to kill the golden-haired man, Li Fan had used up all of his true qi. If it wasn't for Luo Xiaofeng's pills that could recover some of his true qi, Li Fan would really have to lie down for a long time. Seeing that Li Fan is fine, Susu is angry and embarrassed. Don't take that 25,000, I'll give you a 250 red packet later and stuff it into your crotch. You little girl, how can you speak so inelegantly? What crotch? That's called a crotch, do you know that? Fuck you. I can't be bothered with you. With that, Susu twisted her butt, turned around, and ran out. She's quite worried about you. Bai Lin Luo winked at Li Fan, congratulations on having another peach blossom debt. Chapter 611. By the time they returned to the capital, it was already 7 days later. They had been sailing for half a month on this sea. The next 7 days were calm and peaceful, and no one came to disturb them again. This was something Li Fan was looking forward to. Standing on the boundary of the capital, Li Fan breathed a sigh of relief. Fuck, it's still the best to have one's feet on the ground. Domestic land is still the most comfortable. Li Fan took a deep breath and then choked on the air pollution in the capital. Ha ha ha. Susu couldn't help but laugh. You're taking a deep breath in the capital. Do you want to die? Fuck, Li Fan wanted to curse. Damn it, the air in the imperial capital was only the cleanest during the few days of the Olympics. A group of stupid foreigners cried and shouted that the air in the capital was good during the Olympic Games. It was nothing like what the rumors said. Fuck, don't leave after the Olympic Games if you have the guts. Li Fan adjusted his breathing and let his lungs return to normal. Sister Susu, you're back. When Susu and the others returned to the Special Abilities Bureau, they suddenly received bad news. Sister Susu, the chief, Qingyu ran out with a long face and threw himself into Susu's arms, crying non-stop. Qingyu, what's wrong? Speak properly. Susu stroked Qingyu's head and asked. The chief, she passed away, shocking bad news. Susu was dumbfounded at that moment. Li Fan was also taken aback when he heard this. Fuck, that old lady might be a bit muddle-headed, but her body is still quite healthy. How did she die just like that? The Special Abilities Bureau is now leaderless, and everyone is in a mess. The students are no longer in the mood for class. Qingyu wiped his tears and said sadly, a high-ranking official came today, saying that he wants to take over the Special Abilities Bureau. Got it. Leave it to me. Susu nodded. At this moment, she suddenly felt like a big sister, looking particularly reliable. It's good that you're back, Qingyu nodded and obediently stood beside Susu. Li Fan frowned. He asked 7-Star and Flying Dragon to keep an eye on Poseidon while he, Lu Xiaohu, and Bai Lin Luo followed Susu into the Special Abilities Bureau. Once inside, the Special Abilities Bureau was different from the past. In the past, the Special Abilities Bureau was very busy. Many staff members in the hall were monitoring and searching for mutants. At this moment, all the staff members were gone. A group of armed soldiers had taken control of the Special Abilities Bureau. A man in a long black robe stood there with his hands clasped behind his back, looking at the big screen above the hall. Looks like everyone's back. The black-clothed man turned his head and looked at Susu with an indifferent expression. From today on, the Special Abilities Bureau will be under the jurisdiction of us sweeper. Why? Susu was unhappy. Our Special Abilities Bureau has second-level privileges. Other than Zhongnanhai, it is not under the jurisdiction of any other department. I'm sorry, we wipeouts have level 1 privileges. The man in black chuckled, we can directly lead you, this is our right. By the way, you need to get to know your future leader. That's me. He pointed to himself. My name is Long Qingyun, the leader of the sweepers. From now on, you can call me Chief Long. Long Qingyun continued, I'm different from your previous director. I'm a person who abides by the rules. In the future, all mutants in the Special Abilities Bureau will be subject to a strict management system. All mutants had to wear mutant collars. They can only be taken off when they are on a mission. These words shocked Susu and the others. Long Qingyun, what right do you have to do this? We are soldiers of the Special Abilities Bureau, not criminals. Susu directly questioned Long Qingyun opposite her. Of course I have the right to do so. We have level 1 privileges. Long Qingyun chuckled. Half a month ago, the Geneva Court of Trials was massacred by mutants. The death toll exceeded 100, and the judge and the chairman of the Joint Military Commission were also unfortunately killed in this massacre. Do you think mutants can still be as free as they are now? Li Fan and Susu glanced at each other. Sure enough, it was just like Mr. Yang's plan. Now, the whole world had begun to boycott mutants. You guys seem to be having an internal strife. Why don't you let me go first? Poseidon muttered at the side, causing Li Fan to glare at him fiercely. He was so scared that he fell silent. This Poseidon was not afraid of others, but he seemed to be afraid of Li Fan. We are already showing mercy by letting you live, Long Qingyun said. Long Qingyun said, we, the Sweeper, are a department specially established to wipe out all abnormal humans. Mutants are also among our hunting targets. You people either put on the mutant collar immediately or be executed on the spot. You don't have any right. Susu clenched her fists. The Special Abilities Bureau is a regular agency. If you want to give us an order or punish us, you must produce the corresponding documents. There's no need for documents. The sweepers have level 1 privileges. Taking over the Special Abilities Bureau is within my authority. Now that the director of the Special Abilities Bureau has passed away, the Bureau is without a leader. According to the level 1 privilege law, I can immediately take over the director's position. Sorry to disturb your daydreaming. Susu suddenly took out a document from her pocket. Before the director passed away, she personally signed this document. She spoke eloquently. This document clearly states that if the director passes away due to illness, then Bai Lin Luo, a senior agent of the Special Abilities Bureau, will immediately take over the director's position. Bai Lin Luo seemed a little surprised, but he pushed up his glasses and did not speak. Even if he did not want to be the director of the Special Abilities Bureau, he could not speak at this moment. After going through so much together, they were already comrades. Now was the time when Susu needed someone to replace her. The former director has passed away, and the document she signed is invalid. Long Qingyun's expression seemed a little ugly. I'm sorry, but this document was signed by her before she died. It's valid. Susu emphasized. If you are not convinced, we can go to the relevant department to notarize it. Susu was a little proud. Do you think you can take this opportunity to seize power? Let me tell you, our director may be old, but she's not completely muddled. She has long predicted this day. The Special Abilities Bureau will never be handed over to outsiders. Mutants are now the public enemy. Long Qingyun's voice was a little higher. If you resist the sweepers, you will be the enemy of all mankind. While speaking, the sweepers in black special combat suits all raised the guns in their hands and aimed at Susu and the others. These people had specially made guns in their hands, giving off a somewhat high-tech feeling. They seemed to be specially used to deal with mutants. For a moment, the atmosphere was a little tense. Chapter 612. Li Fan knew that Susu would not lower her head. Once she did, the Special Abilities Bureau would be finished, and so would all the ability users who were still students. Bai Lin Luo pushed his glasses and took a step forward. Chief Long, I don't know what kind of organization you are. This is the first time I've heard of it. However, if you want to catch us, you must have the relevant documents from Zhongnanhai. He was not the least bit afraid. Without the documents, all your actions are illegal. Please go back. Do you know what level 1 privilege is? Long Qingyun's eyes flashed with a trace of haze. You're just a kid, and you're pretending to be old and experienced. Let me tell you right now, I have immunity to murder mutants. I can kill you now and go back to make a report. You will die in vain. The most nervous one here was Lu Xiaohu. He was just a junior high school student, and suddenly faced with such a situation at this time, he was very nervous. This mutant collar. After wearing it, he could no longer use his superpower. If he felt even a little bit of mental power, his head would explode. He did not want that to happen. Lu Xiaohu took 2 steps back, then suddenly turned his head and ran outside. Stop him! Long Qingyun shouted, and the 2 sweeper pulled the trigger. 2 blue lasers instantly shot toward Lu Xiaohu, but Li Fan was faster. He directly used Dragon Toad's ingestion of water and pulled Lu Xiaohu to his side, dodging the 2 lasers. The lasers hit the wall behind, leaving 2 black holes on it. Lu Xiaohu's body went soft, and he had the urge to pee his pants. Li Fan frowned and stared at Long Qingyun opposite him. This Long Qingyun really wanted to kill. Long Qingyun, you're crazy. Bai Lin Luo did not hesitate and directly summoned Liao Qianqian and Wang Xiaoyuan. Liao Qianqian pulled out her rapier, while Wang Xiaoyuan raised her shield and stood in front of Lu Xiaohu. Hehe, you want to fight us? It seems that you're openly resisting arrest. Chief Long, since all of your actions are done privately, it means that these actions do not have any legitimacy. Bai Lin Luo pushed up his glasses. He had always been a quick-witted boy, and at times like this, his intelligence was almost demonic. Although he had summoned 2 beauties, his expression remained the same. Since everything you've done is illegal, we won't be resisting arrest. If you can successfully hunt and kill us, you can naturally report back as you please. But if you can't, I'm sorry, but our Special Abilities Bureau is not a pushover. Good, good, good. Long Qingyun looked at Bai Lin Luo and couldn't help but clap his hands in praise. No wonder you were appointed as the new bureau chief. You are indeed quite impressive. Long Qingyun waved his hand, and the 2 steel doors opened to reveal a group of mutant students. Susu and the others were stunned when they saw these students. The students, big and small, were all crying together. They all wore collars around their necks and begged Susu for help. Sister Susu, save me. Hoo, Sister Susu, I'm not a criminal, I've never done anything bad. Wang Bo, who was sitting in the crowd, also had a pale face, completely losing his previous arrogant look. What should we do? What should we do now? Lu Xiaohu's whole person was about to collapse. He seemed to see himself wearing a collar, sitting there, waiting to be trampled on. Calm down. Li Fan's palm was placed on Lu Xiaohu's back, and a stream of true qi entered Lu Xiaohu's body. Lu Xiaohu felt a heat flow from his master's body, which made him feel a lot calmer. If you don't obey, they'll die. Long Qingyun pointed, and the mutants standing behind the students all raised their weapons and pointed their muzzles at the students. Make your choice. Long Qingyun looked at them very conceitedly. Everyone chooses their own path. I'm very fair and just, giving you the opportunity to choose. Either you wear a collar, or you die here. Or, we die here together. Little Four Eyes, don't be afraid, I'm here. Li Fan put his hands in his pocket and said with a smile. If he didn't say anything, this Long Qingyun would become more and more arrogant. Sure enough, when Long Qingyun saw Li Fan, his face slightly changed. Although he was trying his best to endure, at that moment, his changed face was still seen by Su Hao. Li Fan, you're a martial artist, you shouldn't interfere in our affairs. Long Qingyun lowered his voice and said, "Just now when you made your move, I didn't say anything. But you can't act recklessly. This is the internal affairs of the government, it has nothing to do with you." "Yo, it seems like you know me." Li Fan raised his eyebrows. "I'm quite famous, it really surprised me." "Li Fan, your name has already been hung on the Genie Guard's blacklist. If you act recklessly, I'm afraid you'll have to face an even more terrible disaster. Believe me, I've seen more disasters than you know." Li Fan didn't fall for Long Qingyun's trick at all. "If you dare to touch those students, I, the young master, will kill you right now." Li Fan gave Bai Lin Luo a wink, and Bai Lin Luo immediately understood. He nodded and said, "Long Qingyun, Chief Long. You have first-level privileges, and we also have second-level privileges. In the face of threats, we can act first and report later. At worst, we'll fight to the death. Even if you leave your life here, I can also report that you, the sweeper, have betrayed the motherland and intended to rebel, and will be annihilated by my Special Abilities Bureau." The corner of Long Qingyun's mouth twitched. "The soldiers behind me are all battle-hardened, and each of them is a dragon among men. The weapons they are equipped with are ability destroyers, laser weapons, specially designed to deal with mutants like you. You're really well prepared. It seems that you've been watching us for more than a few days, right?" Bai Lin Luo looked at Long Qingyun and asked. "It's obvious. You mutants are all potential time bombs." Long Qingyun looked at them and snapped, "The Special Abilities Bureau has come to an end. Although the higher-ups haven't said anything yet, Long Qingyun, know that you're all threats." "Well, we're threats. Shoot then." Li Fan smiled and casually stood in front of Long Qingyun. But when Long Qingyun saw him, his heart was beating like a drum. It was this Li Fan who showed great power in the Court of Trials. Although the video was not released to the public, he had seen it. He didn't want to get his head smashed into meat sauce by Li Fan's fist, but Long Qingyun was still a little eager to try. He wanted to get rid of the Special Abilities Bureau. "Chief Long, you're a little short." Li Fan, who was standing beside Chief Long, almost jumped out of fright. Chapter 613. All the wipers around him immediately aimed their guns at Li Fan. However, Li Fan pressed his palm down, and a burst of energy directly erupted from the ground, impacting the surrounding wipers and sending them flying. "Chief Long, we're just chatting. Isn't it boring to have so many people here?" Li Fan stood next to Long Qingyun with a harmless smile on his face. "Why don't we find a chance to have a private chat?" "Li Fan, don't go too far." Long Qingyun's heart thumped when he saw Li Fan. This Li Fan had extraordinary skills, and it would not do him any good to be his enemy. Even if he wanted to make life difficult for Li Fan, he could not choose this time. Those wipers seemed to be wearing some special equipment that could absorb some of the energy. After they were knocked down, they got up again and aimed their guns at Li Fan. However, Li Fan was not afraid at all. He just stood there as if he was really here to chat. Long Qingyun waved his hand and stopped them from attacking. "Li Fan, this is the Imperial Capital, not City A. Even if you have eyes and ears everywhere in City A, in the Imperial Capital, even a tiger will have to lie down and a dragon will have to coil up. I, Li Fan, am neither a dragon nor a tiger." Li Fan smiled. "I'm just an ordinary high school student. If Chief Long is willing to give a high school student a little face, get out of the Special Abilities Bureau. If you don't, I don't mind chatting with you." With that said, Li Fan gently raised one of his hands, and the hero's sword behind him was slightly unsheathed. Long Qingyun swallowed his saliva. The scene of Li Fan killing Yang Kai with the hero's sword was still fresh in his memory. This kind of thing was not a joke. It wasn't worth it to hack himself into pieces. "Li Fan, if you dare to kill someone, it will not be a light crime. Especially since I'm a public servant. Look around and see how many of our people are here." Li Fan smiled. "I'll kill you. I'll say that you fought with this kid, a mutant who resisted arrest, and that you died a heroic death. Li Fan pointed at Poseidon, who was standing next to him. The country might even add you as a martyr. What do you think? Do you feel a little excited just thinking about it? Long Qingyun was terrified, and Poseidon cried. He never thought that a terrorist like him could be of use in such a situation. Poseidon wanted to cry, but no tears came. Long Qingyun looked at Li Fan a few more times. He seemed to want to explode, but he dared not. Li Fan. Today. I'll give you face, he squeezed the words out of his mouth. But don't be too proud. I'll come back. Next time you come, bring the documents. There are documents. The Special Abilities Bureau is subject to the arrangements of the state. Without the documents, when your people come, you'll have to crawl out. Bai Lin Luo also spoke ruthlessly. Long Qingyun coldly snorted, flicked his sleeves, and left the Special Abilities Bureau with the sweeper. After they left, Susu breathed a sigh of relief and ran to untie the collars of the students. The students of the Special Abilities Bureau looked at Li Fan in surprise. This assistant is so powerful. Even Long Qingyun, the sweeper, is afraid of him. This Long Qingyun really wants to get rid of us, Susu said. But without the documents from above, he probably won't dare to come again. After all, the Special Abilities Bureau is not a place where people can be trampled on. The Special Abilities Bureau is a department established by the government. I don't think the government will destroy this place for a while. Bai Lin Luo said while untying the collars of the students. There must be a power struggle behind this. The Special Abilities Bureau and the sweeper should have a big shot backing them. The game between the big shots may affect the Special Abilities Bureau. More than that. Li Fan glanced at Poseidon and then said to Bai Lin Luo, don't forget, Hunter. It's only Mr. Yang who died, Hunter. Bai Lin Luo's mind turned quickly, and he immediately understood what Li Fan said. You mean, Bai Lin Luo's face sank a lot. Well, Hunter's people are likely to have infiltrated the country. Li Fan made a very simple analysis. It's very likely that they have infiltrated the top. I'm wondering if the temporary president of Geneva is also one of Hunter's people. Susu was dumbfounded when she heard Li Fan's words. No, that's impossible. What's impossible about it? Li Fan reminded Susu. On the ship, Mr. Yang once told me something. Hunter is a secret organization jointly formed by various countries. It was originally created to deal with mutants. Later, when the Golden Empire was destroyed, this organization became useless and disbanded. But in reality, we all know that this organization has actually gone underground and continued to kill mutants. So, what if the people inside didn't leave but continue to serve the organization in their respective positions? Bai Lin Luo understood what Li Fan meant and nodded. Susu, on the other hand, was still a little skeptical. No, that's impossible. Besides, the Special Abilities Bureau has a lot of merits and contributions. Why would they want to kill us, heh? Hunter is a good example. Li Fan smiled. As the saying goes, when the hares are dead, the hounds are cooked, and when the birds are dead, the bow is hidden. Once an organization with all kinds of privileges like this loses control, it will become an existence like the Golden Empire. So, Bai Lin Luo, if you believe me, immediately take these people from the Special Abilities Bureau and prepare to move. Where are we moving to? Bai Lin Luo didn't hesitate and immediately asked. City A, our base camp. Li Fan said, send everyone here away. I'm afraid the Special Abilities Bureau will no longer exist. I understand. Bai Lin Luo nodded. Susu, go and erase all the data of all the ability users. Prepare to evacuate the few of us. But, there are still many mutants. We can't just give up on the Special Abilities Bureau, Susu frowned. The existence of the Special Abilities Bureau is to save those innocent mutants. Well, erase all the data of other ability users, and then move to another place. As long as there's no information, the sweeper won't know who the mutants are. Lu Xiaohu and the others can also go back to school with peace of mind and hide in the vast sea of people. Okay, let's go. I'll go and ask the prophet to come out. Susu walked toward the prophet's room. I'll go with you. Bai Lin Luo followed Susu to the basement. Li Fan, on the other hand, felt that something unexpected would happen. He and Big Dipper stood guard at the entrance of the Special Abilities Bureau. This place feels gloomy. When Bai Lin Luo came down, he couldn't help but mutter. Emichim, Susu nodded. The prophet's temper is a bit strange. He likes places like this. Chapter 6:14. Susu said as she walked to the door of the room, stretched out her hand, and gently knocked on the door. Lord Prophet, it's no longer safe here, we need to evacuate immediately. Susu knocked on the door, but no one responded. Hey, Lord Prophet, don't be so silent. Susu was a little anxious, we will be in danger soon, please leave with us quickly, Lord Prophet. After knocking for a long time, no one opened the door. Bai Lin Luo was anxious, stop knocking, at this time, how can you coax the prophet? He let Wang Xiaoyuan walk to the front, a big iron door, take him away first. Wang Xiaoyuan immediately waved the sword in her hand, and with a clang, the lock on the iron door was broken. Then, Wang Xiaoyuan stretched out her leg and directly kicked. Bam! Wang Xiaoyuan raised her leg and directly kicked the iron door open. But at this moment, a few steel needles suddenly flew out. Each steel needle was as thick as 2 fingers, half a meter long, and instantly pierced Wang Xiaoyuan's body, sending her flying, and heavily nailed to the wall behind. And a steel needle almost pierced Susu, but was sent flying by Liao Qianqian, who was controlled by Bai Lin Luo, with a sword. Dang! That steel needle was nailed to the door frame, and it was still slightly shaking. What's going on? Susu was frightened, and Bai Lin Luo asked Liao Qianqian to protect him, and poked his head out to take a look. This glance, Bai Lin Luo was stunned. There was no one in this room. The whole room was rusty, and it seemed to be covered in moss because of the damp basement. The room was full of bugs, big and small, black and green, crawling everywhere. It was very disgusting. And on a writing desk in the room, facing the position of the door, there was a man's head. This head was already somewhat rotten, and there were still bugs crawling in the holes on it. Bai Lin Luo almost threw up the food he had last night. What the fuck, this was too disgusting. This head even had a tongue, and there was a pen on the tongue, and a piece of paper was placed next to it. Bai Lin Luo pushed the stunned Susu, where's your prophet? Susu pointed at the head, he is, fuck, stop messing around. Bai Lin Luo rolled his eyes. This guy has been dead for a long time, okay? He really is. Susu trembled with fear and subconsciously hid behind Liao Qianqian. Bai Lin Luo plucked up his courage and walked over. Those bugs hurriedly avoided him. He walked in front of the head. There was a piece of paper under the head. There were words written on the paper. Let's go. Bai Lin Luo's hair stood on end. He felt that things were very strange, the only brain he had left. Why the hell would he write the word run on the paper? Moreover, why did the steel needle shoot out the moment he opened the door? Was this the prophet's way of protecting himself? But if he really was a prophet, he would only be left with his head. Why would he protect her? At this moment, a group of bugs suddenly crawled over and began to gnaw on the head. Not long after, the head was gnawed until only the skull was left. This strange scene made Bai Lin Luo break out in cold sweat. This should be the prophet. After a long time, Susu calmed down a little. And Bai Lin Luo didn't know why, but he subconsciously stretched out his hand and gently touched the skull. An electric current immediately flowed through his body, and a scene appeared in Bai Lin Luo's mind. A few fragmented scenes were the scene of them running. Some of the scavengers appeared, and several students were shot by lasers. Long Qingyun's proud smile. Chief, Chief. Susu pushed by Lin Luo a couple of times before he came back to his senses. So. This is the prophet's ability. Bai Lin Luo felt that he knew something. Even if he's dead, his superpower hasn't disappeared. Susu, take this head, let's run. Bai Lin Luo took off his shirt, hugged the skull, and stuffed it into Susu's arms. Susu almost cried, but thinking that this was an important prophet's relic, she reluctantly hugged it. Let's go. Bai Lin Luo didn't dare to have the slightest hesitation. The scene he saw just now should be what the prophet told him. He also saw some scenes about the prophet. In this room, the prophet once fought with a traitor of the Special Abilities Bureau. That traitor's ability was to control metal, and although the prophet didn't have any superpower for combat, he was extremely smart. In the end, the prophet was defeated and died in this room. But he locked this room with reality, making it impossible for anyone to get out. Finally, the other party ate the prophet's flesh and lived for a while. Finally, he began to eat his own flesh and blood. In the corner, there were also some bones thrown there. Those steel needles were also left by him, probably ready to sneak attack the next person who came in. This superpower has been preserved until now. The prophet probably didn't want to hurt outsiders, so he kept passing information on paper and didn't let anyone enter this room. Both of them were top mutants, and their superpower has been influential to this day. This kind of power really shocked Bai Lin Luo. At the last moment, the prophet warned them that something bad was going to happen. Moreover, to make it easier to carry, he used his mental force to influence the bugs and gnawed his own head clean. The prophet was dead, but his spiritual power still remained in his head. As the two ran out, Susu said, "At the bottom of the canal, we still have an amphibious ship built by the Special Abilities Bureau." Susu also heard about it from the old director. "Let's use this amphibious ship to escape. We also need to rely on it to attract people's attention." Okay. Bai Lin Luo nodded. This was the only way now. Long Qingyun wanted them dead, so he must have blocked all the major roads in the capital, making it impossible for them to escape. If there was an amphibious ship in the canal, it would be a wonderful escape plan. After coming out, Bai Lin Luo met up with Li Fan. All the Special Forces soldiers in the Special Abilities Bureau had been transferred away. Only the students and a few teachers were still here. Those who want to stay can go home now. Li Fan said to the mutant students, "If you're willing to come with us, you can come." I want to go home, me too," a lot of people shouted. "They can't go home." Qing Yu suddenly came over and said, "Why?" Hearing this, Susu froze for a moment. These people were all children and lacked combat power. There was no need for them to run away with them. "I just hacked into the sweeper's mainframe and found a piece of information." Although Qin Yu was young, he seemed to be a computer expert. He frowned and said, "The sweeper developed an alarm system and placed it in the capital. It can search for mutant genes. If we stay here, we will all die." Chapter 6:15. As Li Fan said, this time, the Special Abilities Bureau was really in a dead end. If these people stay in the capital, they will only find them one by one and kill them. Qing Yu said, "The only way is to leave this place together and hide in a place where they can't find us." When these students heard this, all of them had long faces. Not being able to go home. Was there anything more painful than being homeless in the future? They were still young, so how could they withstand such a blow? Even Wang Bo, the usually arrogant boy, couldn't help but burst into tears at this time. I want to go home," Lu Xiaohu secretly pulled Li Fan's sleeve. His eyes were also red, and tears were already swirling in his eyes. "I know you all want to go home. I understand." Li Fan looked at these mutants who were hugging and crying and said, "But you are different from ordinary people. You are mutants, and you can't live like ordinary people since you were born. Maybe you want to hate this place and the Special Abilities Bureau. But I have to remind you that without the Special Abilities Bureau, you might have died long ago. Now, do you continue to cry here and wait to be killed, or do you choose to leave with us and find a way to survive? Everyone was moved. They wiped their tears and looked at Li Fan. My name is Li Fan, the chief escort of Fifan Escort Agency. Li Fan put his hands behind his back and said arrogantly, even if it's Long Qingyun, he would still have to hold it in when he sees me. As long as I'm here, I'll keep you safe. These people looked at each other. Li Fan stretched out his hand and drew a line, and a shallow gully immediately appeared on the ground. Li Fan pointed and said, with this line as the boundary, those who are willing to go with me can come over. If you don't want to, you can stay here. I'll have Fai Long send you home one by one. Li Fan felt that he had done all he could, and this was the most he could do. Now that the Special Abilities Bureau was in a difficult situation, it was estimated that the following 1 million would never come. But no matter what, the Special Abilities Bureau must survive and not perish just like that. These people basically did not hesitate, they all walked over to Li Fan's side. These people were not stupid. Once the capital's alarm system was activated, they would have nowhere to hide. Surviving was the most important thing. Alright, everyone follow me. Senior Big Dipper, Big Brother Flying Dragon, I'll have to trouble the two of you to bring up the rear. The two escorts nodded at Li Fan and followed at the back of the group. Bai Lin Luo summoned Wang Xiaoyuan again, and she followed the team. Liao Qianqian was also summoned. She carried a rapier and followed them. The Grand Canal was not far from here, but the journey was rather dangerous in the wilderness. In particular, these people were still children, and there were not many teachers in the school who knew how to drive. Although the Shield of China still had a few Iveco, no one knew how to drive them. Li Fan brought a group of people of all sizes and rushed towards the Grand Canal according to Susu's instructions. The night sky in the suburbs was also the best cover. However, at that moment, a flare suddenly shot into the sky. The surrounding sky was lit up. Several helicopters flew over from the sky, all with the sweeper's logo on them. Fuck. Li Fan could not help but curse. These fuckers, they caught up so quickly. What should we do? Susu was very nervous. She hugged the prophet's head, a little at a loss. Don't be afraid, fight with them. Li Fan nodded at 7 Star. 7 Star understood and immediately stopped and stood there. Both 7 Star and Flying Dragon were responsible for bringing up the rear, so they could stay in the capital. After all, the capital itself was also their territory. As long as they reached the Grand Canal, they could escape from the sweeper's clutches. If Li Fan was alone, he would not be afraid of these guys and would just fight with bare arms. But not now. He had so many people to protect, so he had to be careful. No matter how amazing he was, he could not split himself and protect everyone. Bang! 7 Star had already destroyed a helicopter with a punch, and the remaining helicopters continued to chase them. Sweeper sat on both sides of each helicopter, and they kept shooting at the mutants. With such an intense exchange of gunfire, several students were in danger. Flying Dragon, you go and help too. Li Fan felt that there were too many helicopters chasing them. There were also many sweeper driving off-road vehicles behind them, and they were also firing at them. Just 7 Star alone was far from enough. At this moment, 7 Star's muscles had already burst out, and he began to throw heavy punches. Flying Dragon also gathered his chi and condensed essence, sending out wind kicks to block the sweeper's pursuit. On one of the helicopters, Li Fan saw Long Qingyun. This damn bastard, why doesn't he just go and die? Li Fan wanted to kill Long Qingyun directly, but he was very smart and afraid of death. Long Qingyun's helicopter was at least a few hundred meters above the ground. Whether it was 7 Star or himself, they could not hit that high. It was not like they were using sniper rifles. The group could only flee in panic, trying to shake off the sweeper. Special Abilities Bureau. Long Qingyun used a loudspeaker and shouted at them, all of you must die today. Not a single one of you can escape. Fuck you, who can help me shoot this bastard down? Leave it to me. Bai Lin Luo said and took out a new card from his card bag. Li Fan was a bit surprised. Where did this guy get a new card? Bai Lin Luo threw out his hand, and a ray of light flashed. Lu Xinan, wearing a bronze armor and holding a bow, stood there. Fuck. Li Fan was shocked. When did you confess to Lu Xinan? That, I just did a small experiment. Bai Lin Luo coughed twice. Fuck, you can't just pick those, I know. I've tried the others as well, but they're all C-level and even D-level cards. They're completely useless. Bai Lin Luo shrugged his shoulders. Those with good attributes are all people you know. Speaking of which, it's really strange. Fuck, and it's a Sagittarius. Only then did Li Fan know Lu Xinan's astrological sign. From the beautiful armor on Lu Xinan's body, it should be an A-grade card. She pulled the bow in her hand and aimed at the helicopter that looked like a black dot above her head. Thump. The bowstring made a sound, and an arrow turned into a meteor, disappearing from everyone's sight. Long Qingyun did not put this bow and arrow in his eyes. At a distance of more than 500 meters, even a sniper rifle would not be able to hit it. But in the next second, an arrow suddenly pierced through the glass and directly hit the pilot's head. The helicopter spun in the air, and Long Qingyun's face turned pale. Chapter 6:16. The co-pilot rushed over and stabilized the helicopter at the brink of death. Pull higher. Pull higher. Long Qingyun was in no mood to say anything else. He kept yelling for the helicopter to fly higher. He heaved a sigh of relief when the helicopter reached a height of more than 1,000 meters. At this height, there should be no problem. Sure enough, Lu Xinan, who was wearing a bronze armor, put down the bow in her hand. Long Qingyun heaved a sigh of relief. These fuckers, how can they shoot from such a high place with a bow? Bai Lin Luo had hidden his cards well. He had 2 A-level cards and had kept them hidden until now. Looking at Lu Xinan, who had been staring at the helicopter, waiting for an opportunity, Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Fuck, tell me, are there any more hidden cards? There's really no more. Bai Lin Luo shook his head and showed his card bag to Li Fan. Sure enough, there were some C-level and D-level cards, plus 2 B-level cards, Wang Xiaoyuan and Su Su. The 2 A-level cards had turned into human form and were following the team. In this battle royale, everyone's life was on the line. Especially Bai Lin Luo, who had seen so many scenes through the Prophet. That was why he had brought the A-level summoner with him to prevent the mutant students from dying. The canal is in front. Su Su saw the hope of victory. She led a group of mutants and a few teachers to the riverbed. At this moment, a black figure suddenly fell from the sky. It was like a black lightning bolt, striking at Li Fan. Li Fan's hair stood on end. Without hesitation, he jumped 2 meters to the side. Kaboom! The ground cracked and a crater was formed. There was a man wearing a black waistcoat, a black robe, and a black brocade guard hat. He was standing there with one palm on the ground. This ground was smashed down by his palm. Imperial Guard? And a black guard. Li Fan frowned and looked at the man who suddenly landed in front of him. Bang! He simply did not wait for Li Fan to react, suddenly bringing along a thunderous sound, he pounced in front of Li Fan. Li Fan raised his right hand and met his palm. Bang! As soon as their palms touched, both of them took a step back. Li Fan's right hand was still a little numb, as if he had been electrocuted. He did not react for a long time. Thunderbolt palm, Ouyang Lei. Li Fan had already guessed the other party's identity from this palm strike. Not bad. Ouyang Lei's face was gloomy. He was about 30 years old. His face was full of pockmarks. He flipped his hands, which seemed to carry the power of thunder. The thunderclap palm was one of the 3 great palm arts that were equally famous as the rushing thunder palm and the breaking steel hand. Once this thunderclap palm was mastered, it could shatter gold and break jade. It was extremely powerful. Now that he was using it, Li Fan was at a disadvantage. Li Fan was also astonished. As the saying goes, once an expert makes a move, one will know whether or not he is an expert. This Ouyang Lei's internal energy was actually much higher than Yu Shi's. He did not expect that there would be such a powerful expert among the black guards. Of the 4 black guards, Li Fan had already met 3 of them. There was also the Soul Burial Song, which Li Fan had never seen before. That 7 Heroes Fist of yours is just a fancy but impractical move. How can it compare to my Thunderclap palm that has been passed down for generations? Ouyang Lei did not give Li Fan any time to think. Both his hands slapped towards Li Fan's temples. Impressively, it was the Twin Peaks piercing ear. It was as if there was a thunderous roar in his ears. However, Li Fan focused his mind and calmed his qi. He raised his true qi from his body and gathered it into his palms. Black Bear slamming door. Li Fan struck out with both palms and met Ouyang Lei's palm strike again. Although his right hand was still a little numb, this time, he infused his true qi into his palms and met Ouyang Lei's palm strike again. Boom! The air distorted for a moment. The palms of the two did not separate, but a strong burst of qi exploded in the surroundings. The surrounding soil was lifted up and blown everywhere. At the same time, Bai Lin Luo escorted a group of people to the side of the canal with Susu. Without hesitation, Susu took out the signal device that she had prepared earlier and pressed it. The water of the canal was originally very quiet, but in the next second, it began to surge. A ship that was more than 30 meters long emerged from the bottom of the canal. There was still water continuously flowing down from the top of the ship. But at this moment, many people came out from the forest beside them. They seemed to have been lying in ambush here for a long time. Ha ha ha, how stupid. Do you think that we don't know that there is an amphibious ship here? Long Qingyun's voice was released through a loudspeaker, echoing in the small forest. We have been lying in ambush for a long time, just waiting for you to walk into the trap. Looking at these people, the students were already scared to the point of peeing. Bai Lin Luo was the one with the highest combat power here. Although some of the other students' abilities were also good, such as Wang Bo, who could harden his body. But at this moment, he was already scared out of his wits and had long since wept like a river. As the director of the Special Abilities Bureau, Bai Lin Luo shouldered the responsibility of protecting these people. Meanwhile, Li Fan was still entangled with the black guard from the embroidered uniform guards. The two seemed to be equally matched, and for a while, there was no clear winner or loser. But Bai Lin Luo understood that neither of them used their full strength. This was how martial fighters competed. They liked to test each other before using their full strength. Li Fan had been vigilant against the other party and did not go all out. He just wanted to probe the other party's bottom line first. With Bai Lin Luo's 2 A-level good guy cards on his side, Li Fan was somewhat relieved. But at this moment, a truck suddenly broke through the trees and rushed out from the side. There was an unknown object mounted on the truck. It was like a loudspeaker, and it suddenly blared. A silent sound wave spread out, and all the mutants knelt on the ground, covered their ears, and screamed. Li Fan's heart skipped a beat. Although he did not know what it was, he understood that this thing must be specially made to deal with mutants. All the mutants screamed again and again, and no one could withstand such a sound wave. Bai Lin Luo knelt on the ground, covering his ears in pain. Ha 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 ha. Long Qingyun's laughter echoed, and he laughed excitedly. This is a sound wave specially made to deal with mutants like you. This time, I'll catch you all in one fell swoop. Long Qingyun, you're crazy. Li Fan knew that Long Qingyun could hear him, so he angrily rebuked. Everyone here is from the Special Abilities Bureau. Do you really want to kill them all? They are all mutants, a threat. Also, Li Fan, you shouldn't have gotten involved in this mess. But you just had to be stupid. I've invited the Black Guard's Thunderclap palm. This time, you won't be able to escape. Obediently leave your life here. Chapter 617. Long Qingyun's plan was to capture all the people from the Special Abilities Bureau in one fell swoop. These people were all mutants. Not a single one of them could be left alive. As for Li Fan, he still had some use. Once Yanglei defeated him, he would learn the secret of Demon Island from him. Yanglei attacked Li Fan one after another, leaving Li Fan no time to rescue by Lin Luo and the others. The amphibious ship had already floated to the surface, and they were only one step away from surviving. Damn it, 7-Star and Flying Dragon were still guarding the rear far away. Only Li Fan was here. It would be great if he could bring another expert here, even if it was Pewdie. With him, he could save Bai Lin Luo and the others. Because this was specifically used to deal with mutants, Li Fan's Murong Ying's Good Guy card had also lost its effect. This sound wave could destroy a mutant's superpower gene. Li Fan, don't even think about helping. Yanglei's strength was getting stronger, and his palm technique was getting sharper. Each strike was like a thunderbolt, deafening. Fuck you. Li Fan was furious. God of War. God of War suddenly popped out from behind him and slapped Yanglei's body. However, Yanglei was not a pushover, and he seemed to have investigated Li Fan's kung fu. His body slightly moved backward, and he actually dodged the palm. God of War's second palm was already coming. Yanglei's feet landed on the ground, and he met it with his own palm. Bam! God of War's body trembled, but Yanglei did not move an inch. This person. His cultivation is so high. Looking at Li Fan's shocked expression, Yanglei laughed. I'm sorry, but I'm the strongest among the black guards. Unlike what I look like, I'm already 70 years old this year, and I've been cultivating for 60 years. How can a kid like you win against me with 60 years of cultivation? Fuck. Li Fan really wanted to curse. This Yanglei was actually hiding such profound strength. 60 years, no matter what, he was at the peak of the peak. Li Fan fought with him a few times and felt that he should have the strength of 6 to 7 dragons. Kill them. Long Qingyun gave the order at this moment. A few of the moppers raised their guns and aimed at the students. Li Fan was shocked. Without any hesitation, his feet flashed and he stepped on a gale, appearing in front of the sweeper. However, Yanglei followed him like a shadow. He also appeared in front of Li Fan and slammed his palm down on Li Fan's head. Li Fan allowed his head to be hit by Yanglei's palm. His vision went black, and it was as if a bomb had exploded in his head. But at the same time, Li Fan also pushed out with his palms. 2 energy waves shot out from his palms and rushed into the crowd of people. 2 of the sweeper were hit by the energy waves. Their abdomens were instantly smashed. Flesh and blood splattered and their bodies were split into 2. The 2 energy waves continued to fly out, piercing through several sweepers' bodies. Finally, they smashed a series of trees and dissipated into the forest. Li Fan was not in a good state either. His face was hit by a thunderbolt palm. He took 2 steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. This kind of life exchange was indeed a bit unbearable. Li Fan circulated his energy to dispel his dizziness. He suddenly took a step forward and slapped Yanglei with his palm. Reckless. Yanglei sneered. He also used a thunderbolt palm to meet Li Fan's palm. His palm technique was incomparably overbearing. How could that kid compare to him? But when their palms met, Yanglei immediately regretted it. Dragon Toad inhale water. In almost an instant, the true energy in Yanglei's body quickly moved towards Li Fan's palm. It was like a large vacuum cleaner, forcefully pulling his inner force into Li Fan's body. Yanglei was also an expert. He made a prompt decision and his true energy exploded from his palm, forcefully repelling Li Fan's hand. And at this moment, he had already lost the power of 2 dragons. But Li Fan could not absorb much of the power of these 2 dragons. Moreover, there were many impurities. His current dragon toad's absorption of water was just to prepare for another move. Li Fan crossed his hands in front of him. He fused Yang-Lei's true energy with his own true energy. They converged and repelled each other. The surrounding air also started to rotate together, as if it was sucked in by the power in Li Fan's hands. Dragon Spitting Pearl. This was the move that Li Fan had modified from the Golden Toad's Spitting Pearl. The two types of true energy complemented each other and also had a repelling nature. It made the power of the true energy even more ferocious. Li Fan's hands suddenly pushed outwards. Like a true dragon spitting out a pearl, an oval ball of air rotated and shot towards Yang-Lei. At that moment, a thought flashed through Yang-Lei's mind. Shatter this chi pearl with one palm. But he instinctively had a thought. He could not touch this thing. If he touched it, he would definitely be finished. Reason and sensibility intertwined in an instant. It was a complex feeling. He was an old senior. If he dodged this move, then where would his status in the pugilistic world be? Scared away by a junior's fist technique? Where would he put his face? He was Yang-Lei, the successor of Thunderbolt Palm. Yang-Lei's eyes emitted a red glow. His two hands gathered all the inner force in his body. The air began to distort. Ha! Yang-Lei let out a loud roar. Then, he pushed his palm forward. Both his hands pushed on top of the chi pearl. His inner force exploded. He wanted to crush this chi pearl. But when the chi pearl collided with his hands, it tore Yang-Lei's palm into a bloody mess. Yang-Lei could no longer hold on. The clothes on his arms were torn apart by the aftershock. Open! Yang-Lei let out a loud roar. He endured the pain and pushed with both hands. Boom! The chi pearl landed in the forest nearby. The forest within a 10 square meter radius was razed to the ground. Yang-Lei's eyes were wide open. What the hell, is this a joke? Come. Continue. Li Fan said. He took out his hero's sword and flew it above Yang-Lei's head. God slaying. Yang-Lei knew this move. This guy was not an idiot. Without hesitation, he turned around and ran. He used his qinggong and stepped on the water. In the blink of an eye, he escaped from the river. Li Fan turned his head. A few students had already been hit by the laser and turned into charcoal. Long Qingyun had already started his massacre. All of you, die. Li Fan was angry. He roared. The Great War God behind him jumped out. The Great War God stretched out both of his palms and suddenly slapped upwards. Bang! A powerful force immediately rushed out, knocking all of these people to the ground. 7-star sword. Li Fan pulled the hero's sword. He split his hands into 7 swords and threw them forward. These sword shadows immediately nailed the sweeper to the ground, taking their lives. Li Fan's eyes were red. He decided to give Long Qingyun a parting gift. Chapter 618. Li Fan jumped high into the air and landed on the ground. His leg was like a battle axe as he chopped at the truck. Bang! The truck was sent flying by Li Fan's kick. It flipped in the air and smashed into the ground. The equipment used to deal with the mutants also exploded. Bai Lin Luo and the others finally recovered and hurriedly moved toward the amphibious boat. Kill them! Kill them! Don't let a single one of them go! Long Qingyun roared angrily. If Li Fan and the others escaped, all his efforts would be in vain. Moreover, with so many mutants dead, it would be hard for him to explain to his superiors. However, Big Dipper and Fei Long also finished dealing with the pursuers and rushed back. The two of them worked together with Li Fan to repel even more mutants and escort all the mutants safely onto the boat. Not long after, the last mutant also entered the cabin. Li Fan nodded at Big Dipper and Fei Long. Without any hesitation, the two high-ranked escorts leaped onto the amphibious ship. Fei Long entered the cabin first while Big Dipper stayed on top. The mutants hid behind cover and continued to shoot at them. Li Fan had already activated his golden armor. It was as if his body was covered in golden armor as he faced the lasers head-on. His true energy density had reached a certain level. The lasers couldn't penetrate it at all and instead bounced off the armor to the side. For a moment, lasers shot out in all directions in the forest. Many of the mutants were pierced by the bounced lasers. Big Dipper's muscles bulged. He roared and punched with both fists. The fist aura constantly hit the forest on the other side, setting off a series of explosions. Soil and trees flew and gravel shot into the sky. The mutants were all hiding behind cover. Li Fan took the opportunity to jump back and somersault in the air. He jumped into the amphibious boat's cabin through the passage. Big Dipper continued to punch like a machine gun, constantly bombarding the forest. The mutants could only hide in a sorry state while the amphibious boat continued to sink. At the last moment, Big Dipper jumped into the cabin and closed the door. Dive at full speed. Susu stood in the command room and shouted. The amphibious ship immediately accelerated and sank into the bottom of the canal with a rumble. Then, the engine started and the hull of the ship suddenly rushed out. A wave set off in the water. The mutants also rushed out and kept shooting at the bottom. However, it was too late. The speed of the amphibious ship was extremely fast. By the time the moppers started shooting, they had already escaped. Bastard! 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 Long Qingyun roared again and again. He had already missed the best opportunity. Once the people from the Special Abilities Bureau escaped, they would surely disappear without a trace in a country as big as China. Once the Special Abilities Bureau's people escaped, they could only leave it to the embroidered uniform guard. Long Dipper with Li Fan. However, among the embroidered uniform guards, even Black Guard Ouyang Lei had been defeated by Li Fan. It would be difficult to defeat Li Fan again. Special Abilities Bureau. I will you. Dipper Long, Dipper. Long Qingyun's unwilling roar echoed in the forest. At the same time, Li Fan and the others had already boarded the so-called Hidden Dragon and were heading in the direction of City A along the Grand Canal. In addition to sailing underwater, the amphibious boat could also rise into the air and fly for a short period of time. They were going to take off from a safe place, fly into Songjiang, and then lurk at the bottom of the river in City A. Everyone in the cabin was gloomy and seemed unwilling to talk. The atmosphere was a bit depressing. After all, many people died, and all of them were people they knew. Little Four Eyes. I'm afraid you won't be able to go to school anymore. Li Fan called Bai Lin Luo aside and said to him. It doesn't matter. I'm already mentally prepared. Bai Lin Luo, on the other hand, was very open. I've thought it through. Since I was born different, I should take on the responsibility that I deserve. Bai Lin Luo glanced at the children in the cabin. I want to be a qualified director of the Special Abilities Bureau. I will lead them to save the Special Abilities Bureau and those innocent mutants. N. Li Fan nodded and glanced at Lu Xiaohu, who was hiding and shivering. He sighed, walked to Lu Xiaohu's side, and pressed his hand on his shoulder. Xiaohu, master. I'm too useless. Lu Xiaohu's voice was also trembling, and he seemed to be sobbing. If I was a little stronger. Jie wouldn't have died. Jie was a little girl among the mutants. She looked pretty good and seemed to be good friends with Lu Xiaohu. Master. I'm so weak. Lu Xiaohu hugged Li Fan's arm and cried. I want to be stronger. I really want to be stronger, then be stronger, Xiaohu. Li Fan patted his shoulder. Let's all become stronger together. Because of their lack of strength, several students died. Li Fan also blamed himself in his heart. Only by becoming stronger could he protect the people around him. If he was a little stronger, Bai Lin Luo wouldn't be unable to go to school. His life would also change in the future. Fortunately, Bai Lin Luo's parents were also abroad and wouldn't be affected by this. Master, I'm going to practice. Lu Xiaohu wiped away his tears and walked into the training room next to him. The facilities in this amphibious ship were very complete. There was also a unique survival system that ensured that the amphibious ship could stay underwater for a month, and the people on board could still maintain a normal life. I also have to work hard, Bai Lin Luo said. If my ability improves, the level of the good person card can also be upgraded. I want to strive to upgrade the level of the good person card to S rank. N. Li Fan didn't know how to train his mental force, but all the teachers also escaped. They were all people from the Special Abilities Bureau, and staying in the capital would only lead to death. They simply followed the Special Abilities Bureau and continued to work here, teaching other mutants, and letting them become soldiers of the Special Abilities Bureau. This great enmity must be avenged. Li Fan looked at the students of the Special Abilities Bureau and loudly said to them, "Today, you may feel grief, or fear, or despair. But remember, those who died are your friends, your classmates, and even your comrades. Don't let them die in vain. You must become the strongest Special Abilities Bureau agents. Remember this Long Qingyun. He is your enemy." The emotions of these students were stirred up, and they were destined to never forget this night. "Director, there's a special communication signal." Susu came over and asked Bai Lin Luo for instructions. "Okay, I'll go take a look." Bai Lin Luo called out to Li Fan, and the two went to the commander's office together. There was a mysterious signal coming in through the commander's communicator. Chapter 619. Chief, should I put it through? The correspondent asked Bai Lin Luo. Put it through. Bai Lin Luo really had the demeanor of a leader now. In any case, they were now on the move and were not afraid of being tracked by the other party. The Special Abilities Bureau, this is Dragon Head. A dull voice came from the communicator. Code SX998852233. The other party's words suddenly made Susu excited. Dragon Head. It's Dragon Head. What the hell was Dragon Head? Li Fan froze for a moment. Dragon Head is the agent of the Special Abilities Bureau. Bai Lin Luo, who obviously knew something about the Special Abilities Bureau, lowered his voice and said to Li Fan. Let your chief speak. Dragon Head's voice carried a bit of noise as if there was some interference. According to Bai Lin Luo, this Dragon Head was the agent of the Special Abilities Bureau and should be a big shot in the capital. I'm the chief. Bai Lin Luo walked over and began a conversation with this so-called Dragon Head. I won't say too much. The Special Abilities Bureau is in danger now. Dragon Head was concise and went straight to the point. Li Fan has caused too much of a stir in the Court of Trials. Now, all countries are going all out to kill mutants. Even I can't protect you. Long Qingyun has obtained the documents and can act first and report later. The Special Abilities Bureau has a lot of merits. Isn't this too much of a trifle? Bai Lin Luo frowned. So many people died in a groundless purge. It's been hard on you, but I can't help you. Now, even I'm being investigated. Dragon Head sighed. The situation has changed. In short, you should hide for a while. They hid and became a secret organization that no one knew about. Your batch number is still there, and so is your organization. However, you can't appear in front of outsiders, understand? You want us to hide? Yeah, keep a low profile and bide your time. The Special Abilities Bureau is indispensable. You also need to find new mutants and protect them. The Special Abilities Bureau should already be a burden to you. Why do you still care so much? Bai Lin Luo could not help but ask. Maintain stability. The Dragon Head calmly said, China's policy has always been to maintain stability. Mutants were just a special race. Massacring them would only make the situation more unstable. But you are a symbol of power, and there are other countries behind you who are adding fuel to the fire. I can't protect you with my strength, and I can't help you. Bai Lin Luo lowered his voice. Then what do you want us to do? I've said it before. From the light to the dark. The dragon head's voice became even noisier. Then what do we live on? Extraordinary Escort Agency. After saying that, the signal was completely cut off. Li Fan had been listening at the side. When he heard this, he rolled his eyes. Damn it! This brainless dragon head actually threw the blame for the Special Abilities Bureau to me. The meaning of his words was obvious. He clearly wanted Primeval to make money to support the Special Abilities Bureau. Primeval had just gotten on the right track. Not only would they not get the remaining 1 million yuan, but they would also have to support the Special Abilities Bureau first. Damn it! I even lost Bai Lin Luo. What a bad deal. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. Li Fan was a bit depressed. He had always claimed to be a profiteer. But in the end, it turned out to be like this. The loss was too big. Damn it. I'll never do business with the government again. Li Fan said and slapped himself. His face hurt, but his heart hurt even more. Prepare to leave the water. The pilot maneuvered the hidden dragon out of the water, leaped up, and rose into the air. Under the cover of the night, the amphibious ship quickly flew to Song River and plunged into the water again. The amphibious ship followed its original target and hid at the bottom of the river in City A. Relying on the survival system, the amphibious ship could hide for a long time. Li Fan and Bai Lin Luo had discussed it and decided to let the amphibious ship lurk for half a month first. In the near future, Long Qingyun would definitely be hunting them everywhere. Under River Song, temporarily hiding from the limelight was the best choice. Moreover, City A was their territory. Lu Xinnan's Red Dragon Society had already eradicated all the Vanguard Bureau and Yellow Clothes Group forces in one fell swoop and now controlled the entire underworld of City A. With the protection of Lu Xinnan's Red Dragon Society, Li Fan could let the Special Abilities Bureau hide with peace of mind. After settling them down, Li Fan hurried all the way home. Not knowing how long it had been since he went home, Li Fan went downstairs of his bungalow. The bungalow was still the same as before. It was 3 stories high and had lights on. The yard was very clean. Several bodyguards stood outside the yard. When they saw Li Fan, they immediately bowed in unison. Son-in-law. Li Fan greeted them and then returned to his home. It was clearly Murong Ying's house, but at this moment, it felt like his own home. Li Fan felt that he might be a little too homesick recently. Although a man should be free to roam the world, it was also good to have a place to stay. It was a pity that the people from the Special Abilities Bureau, Lu Xiaohu and Bai Lin Luo, could not return home for a while, nor could they contact their families. Thinking of that bastard Long Qingyun, Li Fan could not help but clench his fists. But he was just a clown who showed his face in public, and there was a bigger force behind him. If he did not uproot these forces, there was nothing he could do. A martial artist, this was the tragedy of a martial artist. In this world, there were many things that could not be solved with just fists. When Li Fan returned home, Muronging was talking to a man. Muronging was wearing a light blue cheongsam with daffodils printed on it. Her hair was in a bun, and she looked very elegant, like a fairy walking out of a painting. Sitting in front of her was a man in a black robe with curly hair. He was dressed in a standard martial arts outfit and carried a sword on his back. Looking at this appearance, Li Fan sighed in his heart. It seemed that he had not seen this kind of standard martial arts outfit for a long time. It's rare that you're willing to come back. When Muronging saw Li Fan, her eyes lingered on him for a while. At that moment, there seemed to be something turning in Murong Ying's beautiful eyes. But in the blink of an eye, it disappeared. Wife, long time no see. Did you miss your husband? Li Fan chuckled, causing Murong Ying to roll her eyes. Who would miss you? Shameless. Muronging turned her head, seemingly not wanting to look at Li Fan. The man in the black robe sitting in front of Muronging hurriedly stood up, turned around, and bowed to Li Fan. Greetings, Chief Escort Li. Li Fan had established Fifan Escort Agency and held the position of Chief Escort, which was nothing new in the martial arts world. Sorry, buddy. My wife is a little tsundere. Li Fan's words caused Muronging to roll her eyes. May I know who you are? Chapter 620. When he returned home late at night and saw another man chatting enthusiastically with his wife, Li Fan was very jealous. Damn it, he felt uncomfortable in his heart. Li Fan was not a magnanimous person, he was very narrow-minded. Although the two of them were not officially husband and wife, it was at least close to the mark. What was the matter? They could not chat during the day, but they had to chat endlessly at night. Li Fan's simple, "my wife," was actually very black-bellied. His words were concise and to the point, expressing his position in the family and his ownership of Muronging to the black-robed man. As for Muronging, she only rolled her eyes and did not say anything. This meant that she still acknowledged this identity in her heart. Li Fan secretly made a victory sign behind him. What was there to be afraid of? This was his home ground. When the black-robed man saw Li Fan, he was filled with fear and trepidation. This was the famous little overlord, Li Fan. It was said that he would often start a fight at the slightest disagreement. He would beat the other party up and his reputation in the pugilistic world was ruined. What Golden Eagle Castle's Yin Wuchao, what Sima family's Sima Fong, in any case, some of the famous pugilistic world figures had been beaten by Li Fan, and they were all defeated by his 7-gallant fist. He was ranked 88th on the pugilistic world celebrity ranking list. Li Fan already had his own position in the pugilistic world. There would probably be countless people who would challenge him in the future. However, those who challenged him would probably have to weigh their own strength and see if they had the strength of Yin Wuchao and Sima Fong. Especially his 7-gallant fist, which had already reached the 8th rank of the divine skill chart. This kind of unparalleled divine skill would attract the coveting of countless people. I am Tangan, Shao Qingfeng of the Sword. Greetings, Chief Escort Li. The black-robed man was very respectful to Li Fan. He clenched his fists and bowed. Visiting late at night is very rude. Chief Escort Li, please forgive me. Not a problem, not a problem. Li Fan muttered in his heart. As long as he did not seduce my wife, everything else was fine. He was such a generous person. Go to sleep. Muronging instructed Li Fan, you were in such a hurry that you should have a good rest. No hurry, no hurry. I'm in high spirits. Li Fan sat down beside Muronging and looked at Tangan, who was leaning on his sword and smiling in the cool breeze. Tell me, why did you come here so late at night? If there's anything you need help with, just let me know. I, Li Fan, am a person who is passionate and willing to help others. Chief Escort Li, I came here late at night because of the devil cult. Tangan was very respectful. In this place, he was indeed just a small character. Li Fan, Muronging. Which one of them wasn't a famous expert in Jianghu? Compared to them, he was still too far behind. If his martial arts were not as good as the other parties, then his attitude should be more respectful. Oh. Solipsism. Hearing the name Devil Cult, Li Fan was shocked. That Lu Zhu even cheated him of the 4-elephant sword and a page of 9 Buddha Sutra. This debt, sooner or later, he would settle it. And that left law protector Song Fuya, he asked Yin Tian Tian to investigate her information, but who knows where she went. This Yin Tian Tian was not reliable at all. Recently, the devil cult has been eyeing my 9 Buddha Sutra. They have already spread the rumor that they are going to take away this page of sutra. The devil cult's power is getting stronger and stronger. They are all-pervasive and unscrupulous. It is really hard to guard against them. Tangan sighed, and my alliance leader Luo is also a proud and arrogant person. He is not willing to ask for help. And the elders in the alliance are worried about his safety. Thus, they let me use the name of the qualifier to travel everywhere and ask for alliance leader Murong's help. I understand. Your family's boss is not willing to ask for help from others. So, you came to ask for help privately. Li Fan nodded, but you can't do this. If your family's boss finds out, won't you be in trouble? My personal gains and losses are nothing. Tang An said magnanimously, but the alliance's gains and losses are the most important. If this page of 9 Buddha Sutra is taken away by the devil cult, they will have more than 3 pages in their hands. This is very disadvantageous to our martial arts world. The 2 big families in the martial arts world, Murong and Sima. Why don't you go to the Sima family and instead come to me, Muronging? Muronging asked straightforwardly, last time, I fell into the devil cult's evil scheme. I'm afraid this matter has already spread. The dignified alliance leader of the martial arts world fell into a trap. This has some impact on Murong Ying's reputation. That's just because you fell into the evil scheme of the devil cult. Alliance leader Murong's martial arts are unparalleled in the world. If you make a move, the devil cult will definitely scatter. Don't underestimate Li Wei. Muronging sighed. Although she thought that she was invincible among her peers, she might not be able to defeat Li Wei. If Li Wei were 10 years younger, or if she were to train hard for another 10 years, Muronging believed that she would definitely be able to defeat Li Wei. Unfortunately, time gave Li Wei more chances. Ancient martial arts were different from modern martial arts. In modern martial arts, a young body was the most valuable asset. As for ancient martial arts, the longer one's internal energy was cultivated, the stronger they would be. That was why Muronging was weak now. She was already a genius, and all she needed was a bit of time. That Li Wei is indeed a powerful figure, but he probably won't come to the Laughing Sword Leaning Breeze personally. Tang An said, he's arrogant and doesn't seem to care about the headquarters of the Smiling Sword Breeze. I do want to help, but Luo Xuewu doesn't welcome outsiders. If I go this time, I won't have the right to go, and I might even get into conflict with Luo Xuewu. Forget it. Although he wanted to help, Murong Ying's identity was special, and he had to consider everything. She was the alliance leader of the Martial Arts Alliance, not a rising star like Li Fan. It was the most basic requirement for her to take care of every aspect of her work. Tang An seemed to be in a dilemma. He had come this time to ask Muronging to come out of seclusion. If Muronging didn't go, the headquarters might really be in danger. It's alright, leave it to me. Li Fan patted his chest and immediately took charge of the matter. He could tell that Muronging wanted to help, but she couldn't because of her pride. No matter what, they were a family. Since he was back, he might as well help them with this matter. No. You can't go. Muronging suddenly grabbed Li Fan like she was in an uproar. Huh? Li Fan was stunned for a moment, not knowing what Muronging meant. She changed her emotions too quickly. She wasn't like this in the past. What's wrong? You can't go. Chapter 621. Why? Why are you acting so weird? Li Fan couldn't understand Muronging. When did she lose her temper like this? She looked like a lunatic. Li Fan, how long do you want to mess around? Muronging glared at Li Fan. You've already caused such a big mess this time. Haven't you had enough? Muronging's words seemed to have a hidden meaning. Do you know what I did? Li Fan looked at Muronging with some surprise. Muronging said in a very unhappy tone, everyone knows what you did. Not bad. It seems like I'm quite popular recently. Li Fan laughed, almost making Muronging laugh until she was dumbfounded. What are you laughing at? Be serious. Muronging reprimanded him, and Li Fan put away his mischievous smile. So, you know about the Special Abilities Bureau? Li Fan, you are a martial fighter. You shouldn't be involved in the matter of mutants. Muronging felt that Li Fan was especially hated now, but she couldn't bring herself to hate him. Mutants have their own world, their own laws. We are different from them. We shouldn't have any contact with their world, nor should we interfere in any of their affairs. My brother is a mutant, and a group of people want to kill him. Li Fan and Muronging ignored Tangen, who was standing at the side, and began to quarrel. Tangen stood there abruptly, feeling very awkward. He didn't know whether to speak or not, so he simply acted like an invisible person and listened to the two of them quarrel. He couldn't intervene in this kind of matter, so he let these two gods play by themselves. A martial fighter should have the awareness and glory of a martial fighter. Muronging glared at Li Fan. You shouldn't have broken our rules. The rules are set by you. Why should I follow them? Li Fan was also very impolite. Do you want me to watch my brother die in front of me? Was that the rule that a martial artist should follow? If this is what you call a martial artist, then I might as well not be a stupid martial artist. Li Fan, watch your attitude. Murong Ying's true qi flowed around her body, and the surrounding tables and chairs were all blown to one side. The person standing before you is the Alliance Master of Wulin. Martial Alliance Master. What a joke, when have I, the little tyrant, been afraid of anyone? Li Fan also separated his arms, and with a shake of his body, golden true qi surged out, almost causing Tangen, who was retreating, to somersault. Motherfucker, these two people are too strong. Tangen wanted to cry. When immortals fought, the fish in the moat would be implicated. Li Fan, I really should teach you some manners. Muronging raised her right hand. Her index and middle fingers carried a sharp sword qi. She already has the strength of 9 dragons. One of her feet stepped on the threshold of a generation's master. And Li Fan only has the strength of 5 dragons. The difference between them is too big. But Li Fan did not have the slightest fear. He slightly raised his fists, ready to fight the tiger at any time. Brother-in-law, you're back. Just when the atmosphere between the two was about to explode, a lively figure suddenly ran out. Like a happy deer, she bumped into Li Fan's bosom. As if afraid of hurting her, Li Fan immediately retracted his true qi and hugged Murong. Little girl, are you trying to kill me? Hee hee, I missed brother-in-law. Murong giggled happily. I thought brother-in-law didn't want big sister anymore. Big sister missed you these few days and talked about you every day. Muronging had just stopped her cultivation. Hearing this, she immediately frowned. What are you talking about? When did I talk about this guy? When big sister was bathing yesterday, Muronging covered her little sister's mouth. Tangen also let out a sigh of relief. Damn, luckily Murong's little girl is here. Otherwise, these two people might really fight. But if they really fight, how many moves can little tyrant Li Fan take from his fiancée? But Li Fan is the person who defeated Sima Fong. Sima Fong's strength is not weak either. After all, after reaching great heights in strength, the difference of 2 to 3 dragons can be made up with exquisite martial skills. But these are not important. The important thing is whether they are willing to go to the main hall with me or not. Looking at Xiao Ai's face, I won't lower myself to your level today. Muronging crossed her arms and looked at Li Fan condescendingly. There is no choice, this girl is tall to begin with, more than 1.7 meters. Now that she is wearing a pair of high heels, she is more than 1.8 meters tall, slightly taller than Li Fan who is 1.78 meters tall. Anyways, you are not allowed to go anywhere. Stay at home obediently. For the next few days, you better not show your face in the Jianghu. Brother-in-law, you just got home, where are you going? Hearing that Li Fan is going to leave again, Muronging was a little surprised as she grabbed Li Fan and asked. I plan to go to the main hall of Leaning on the Sword and Laughing Breeze. Although Murong was black-bellied in the past, the current Xiao Ai makes Li Fan unable to get angry with her. Li Fan rubbed her head. Some things must be done, must be done. Ah! Are you talking about Kunlun Mountain? Hearing this, Murong was very excited. Then I also want to go. Kunlun Mountain is known as the Immortal Mountain, but it is actually a mountain hidden in the ice and snow. It is quite mysterious. The main hall of Leaning on the Sword and Laughing Breeze is located there. You don't know how to be serious. Xiao Ai, when did you learn to be so mischievous? Murong glared at Murong Ai. Xiao Ai, who has always played the role of a good girl in front of everyone, almost exposed her true nature just now. I'm sorry, sister. I was just a little curious. Xiao Ai's eyes reddened, tears welled up, and she said with some grievance. Okay, you are still a child, I was a little harsh just now, I'm sorry. Sure enough, Murong likes this kind of trick the most and immediately apologized to Xiao Ai. Li Fan clearly saw a flash of cunning in Murong Ai's eyes. This lass was too good at playing this trick. If I didn't know her well, I would have fallen for it too. Murong, it's your business whether you want to go or not, but it's my business whether I want to go or not. Li Fan said, I think you know better than me what kind of organization the demonic cult is and how terrifying it is. If they succeed this time, Li Wei will get more copies of the 9 Buddha Sutra. I don't want this guy to become stronger, I still want to beat him up. Li Fan clenched his fists. Calm down. The current you is no match for him at all. Murong reminded Li Fan, besides, you can go to other places, but not the main hall of Leaning on the Sword and Laughing Breeze. Why? Li Fan felt that Murong was being too serious. Because. I just can't. Murong said fiercely. Chapter 622. Murong scolded Li Fan, like she didn't want him to go to Kunlun Mountain no matter what. Li Fan felt a little weird. Was there some unspeakable secret in Kunlun Mountain? Was that why Murong stopped him and didn't want him to go? Li Fan couldn't understand it. At the start, Tang'an also couldn't understand why Murong would be so against the main hall of Smiling Sword Leaning Breeze. But when he thought about it, he understood what was going on. The main hall of Smiling Sword Leaning Breeze was in Kunlun Mountain. Kunlun Mountain had a girl who was in charge of the alliance. Her name was Luo Shuawu. Luo Shuawu was different from normal girls. Her eyes were high and she was really arrogant. There were many guys who wanted to conquer her, but none of them were able to conquer her heart. Including Long Fangyu, who was riding on the west wind, he also pursued Luo Shuawu passionately. Although he didn't know if Long Fangyu really liked this ice queen or if he wanted to recruit her into the alliance, all sorts of attacks were something that normal girls couldn't handle. But Luo Shuawu didn't move at all. This ice queen only left a sentence. If he wanted to win her heart, he had to win the heart of the alliance leader of the martial arts world. This condition was really harsh. Pretty much everyone knew what kind of person Murong was. Luo Shuawu was the Ice Queen, she was basically the Ice Demon King. Born in the Murong aristocratic family, she had the looks of a country-toppling beauty. She was also the unrivaled alliance leader of the martial arts world. Who knew how many guys pursued her? But after so many years, she didn't have any feelings for anyone. This Murong and Luo Shuawu became 2 ice-cold girls who were equally famous in the world. But now, Murong already had a fiancé, which was little tyrant Li Fan. This way, Luo Shuawu's vow was broken. No wonder Murong didn't let Li Fan go to Kunlun Mountain. She was jealous. Alliance Master Murong, don't worry. What our Alliance Master Luo said that day was merely a joke. Don't take it seriously. Tang'an cupped his hands at Murong and spoke his mind. Murong blushed slightly after hearing this. This Tang'an was really meddlesome. Who asked him to say that? However, Li Fan was a little confused. What was going on? No matter what you say, I do have to make a trip to Kunlun Mountain. Li Fan was also a stubborn donkey. Once he set his mind on something, even 10 donkeys wouldn't be able to pull him back. Muronging looked at him and said, "All right then. Be careful when you go." Li Fan was stunned. What the fuck? What the hell? Wasn't the change in attitude a little too fast? Li Fan wanted to curse, but he thought that even if he scolded Muronging, there wouldn't be any good results, so he simply swallowed his words. "It's late. Let's rest for the night." Muronging waved her hand. "Tomorrow morning, I'll arrange for a carriage for you." Since Muronging had agreed, Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. She even arranged a room for Tangan to stay for the night and set off together the next day. Li Fan took a shower and wanted to enter Murong-Ying's room to sleep, but she chased him out. "We're already an old couple. Why won't you let me go?" Li Fan was helpless. "It's not convenient for me these days." Murong-Ying rolled her eyes at Li Fan and pushed him out of the door. Then, she closed the door. Li Fan thought to himself, what does this mean? Could it be that Murong-Ying's period came? From what she said, once her period is over, we can share the same bed. When Li Fan thought of Murong-Ying's beautiful legs, he couldn't help but lick his lips. "Fuck, I'm looking forward to it." "Son-in-law, your room hasn't been occupied for a long time. Although it's clean, it's still lacking some liveliness." After Tai Zhu gave her supper to Li Fan, she coquettishly winked at him. She was only wearing a simple chiffon nightgown, and there was no need to mention how sturdy her muscles were. She said shyly, "Son-in-law. Can sleep in the same room with me." I'm so embarrassed." Tai Zhu covered his face and stamped his feet, causing the house to tremble as he ran out. Li Fan broke out in a cold sweat. "Damn, I'm scared to death. This Tai Zhu is too domineering. I can't take it." Tai Zhu's skill is unparalleled in the world. Just as Li Fan was about to close the door, enjoy his supper, and then have a good sleep, there was movement from the door again, and a figure came in. At first, Li Fan thought it was Tai Zhu. He was about to scold her when he suddenly found a petite figure with a fragrant wind. As the figure bumped into his bosom, Li Fan had already guessed who came out. He reached out his hand and gently stroked Murong's forehead. "Little girl, why did you sneak in? Aren't you afraid that I'll eat you?" Li Fan closed the door and asked the fragrant little girl in his bosom with a smile. "Come on, eat me." Murong had an unconvinced look as she provoked Li Fan. "I just had a nice bath. It's suitable for me to taste. Calm down." Li Fan didn't dare to provoke Murong. Otherwise, he wouldn't know who would eat who. This little girl often took advantage of his room when there was no one else. She would sneak in and eat with relish. He didn't know where she got this unique hobby from. However, since he was quite comfortable, Li Fan didn't stop her. He felt that he had fallen into depravity. He was being played by his sister-in-law. No, it was in his mouth. "You should go rest early." Li Fan felt that he should drive this little girl back. If this goes on, something bad will happen. He always felt that no matter what happened tonight, it would be a bit unstable. Moreover, the continuous fighting made Li Fan a little tired. Finally, he returned home and wanted to have a good sleep. Li Fan's idea was good, but it also depended on whether Murong Love agreed to it or not. "Brother-in-law. Don't be in a hurry to drive me away. Let me show you something good." Murong Love mysteriously took out a small black box from behind her. "What is this thing?" "Brother-in-law, this thing is very powerful." Murong Love proudly said, "This is called the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires Harmony Goo. It is a super goo worm that I used many methods to gather. This goo, as long as brother-in-law hit a woman's body, that woman will later worship you as her master. Otherwise, she will suffer from the goo's backlash and suffer unbearable pain. How can you refine this kind of thing?" Li Fan was surprised. "Didn't you say that you will no longer touch those strange things?" "Hey, when did I say such a thing?" Murong Love said with a smile, "I have a purine body. If I don't practice this kind of sinister skill, wouldn't it be a waste? Murong Love's righteous look actually made Li Fan a bit speechless. Indeed, in terms of evil skills, Murong Love has a unique talent. In this world, only I and you can refine this unique 7 emotions and 6 desires harmony goo. Chapter 623. Why? Murong AI's words were a bit strange, making Li Fan confused. To cultivate this 7 emotions and 6 desires fusion goo, you need to feed it with your own blood. Murong AI introduced her 7 emotions and 6 desires fusion goo as if she was very familiar with it. Ordinary people's blood cannot feed these 7 peerless poisonous insects. Only my blood can make them grow. And the only thing that can make them mature is your blood. Murong AI pointed at a small socket on the box. As long as brother-in-law puts your finger in and let them suck your blood, they will mature and recognize you as their master. What the heck, why does it sound so strange? When Li Fan saw the pitch-black hole, he felt a little creeped out. If Murong AI was not wrong, there should be 7 kinds of amazing goo hidden here. Letting these 7 insects bite him and suck his blood, this Li Fan could not do it. No, I am not used to being bitten. Li Fan had just finished speaking when his legs felt cold, his pants had been taken off. He saw Murong AI holding the black wooden box with both hands, her small mouth already starting to practice the divine breathing clouds and breathing fog technique. What are you doing? Li Fan's breathing quickened a little, and he felt his blood gathering in one place. To nurture goo. I need to let my body reach the highest state. This Murong AI had something in her mouth. Her words were also punctuated, but Li Fan could understand. What the heck? What kind of goo is this? It is so amazing. And it needs to reach high for it to be effective. But at this point, Li Fan felt he should sacrifice himself and research the so-called 7 emotions and 6 desires fusion goo. In order to research knowledge, many seniors had sacrificed their lives. He should use them as role models, and contribute everything he had. Let the waves come even more fiercely. In this villa under the moonlight, a man's growl was suddenly heard. Li Fan's finger was also stuffed into the box. His finger was in pain. It was obvious that something had bitten it. Immediately after, the wooden box suddenly burst into a bloody light and exploded into pieces. In a wisp of black smoke, 7 poisonous insects of different shapes crawled along Li Fan's arm and onto his body, hiding in his clothes. Just like that, they were concealed. What the hell? However, Li Fan did not feel afraid. It was as if these 7 poisonous bugs were his children. 7 poisonous bugs wandered all over Li Fan's body, but Li Fan didn't feel uncomfortable at all. At this moment, Murong spat out the food in her mouth, then pulled Li Fan and begged, brother-in-law, please give me one. Damn, isn't this for training slaves? What are you using it for? When Li Fan heard Murong's unreasonable request, he was shocked. The 7 emotions and 6 desires goo is one of the 3 mystical goo in the world. Murong hurriedly explained, it's impossible that it can only be used to control people. There are many other uses. What other uses? Li Fan didn't understand. A few bugs, other than being used to poison, what other uses do they have? The 7 emotions and 6 desires goo can strengthen a person's 7 emotions and 6 desires, stimulating a person's acupuncture points, thereby improving a person's fighting strength. Murong winked at Li Fan, seemingly a little excited, and each goo has a special kung fu. As long as this goo is planted in the other party's body, the other party can automatically comprehend this kung fu. It sounds like it's used for strengthening. Li Fan muttered. There are side effects. Murong's smile became wider. The most powerful part of this 7 emotions and 6 desires goo is that if it's within 100 meters of its master, it will be connected to the master's desires. The 7 great goo will feel the master's 7 emotions and 6 desires tenfold. So, if the master dies, the 7 great goo will also die because of a broken heart. Li Fan was shocked. This thing is too powerful. Awesome. No, I can't let you use this thing. Li Fan suddenly shook his head. Although it can increase one's fighting strength, the side effects are too big. This kind of thing cannot be used by Xiao AI. Brother-in-law, it's fine as long as you don't die. Murong's gaze was firm. I want to be brother-in-law's human goo. The so-called human goo is to plant the goo on a person's body, using human blood to raise the goo. Murong had all kinds of strong requests, but Li Fan couldn't bear to do it. Brother-in-law. Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid. What are you afraid of? You're young, naturally you can ignore it. How can I do that? I have to think for you. Li Fan was also very speechless. If this thing harmed Murong's body, not to mention Murong, he wouldn't be able to let himself go. Oh, brother-in-law, don't worry. Murong's AI pulled Li Fan's arm. I definitely understand the use of the goo better than you. Brother-in-law, plant the human-faced arachnid in my body. As the little girl spoke, she took the initiative to take off her clothes, revealing her white jade-like skin. Although this wasn't the first time he saw it, it was still too beautiful to behold. It was like the most perfect work of the heavens. How could anyone not like such a beauty? Li Fan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Murong's AI laughed again and again. Brother-in-law, if you want to look, feel free to look. Let's get down to business first, okay? Damn, why am I acting like a pervert? Li Fan immediately corrected his attitude. Then he extended his hand and pointed at Murong's AI. A black spider the size of a fingernail ran out and jumped onto Murong's AI's body. It landed on top of her chest and pressed its entire body inside. Murong's AI's eyebrows slightly wrinkled. This insect seemed to be embedded in her left chest, unable to come down. But at the same time, her body began to soften and a large amount of fluid began to be discharged from her body. Murong's AI's entire body fell onto Li Fan's body. Her breath smelled like orchids and her skin was boiling red as if she had a fever. Xiao AI. Are you okay? Li Fan was very worried. The venom of the goo was heaven-defying. A single drop of venom could kill an elephant. Now it was completely embedded in Murong's AI's chest. Could Xiao AI bear it? Brother-in-law. I think I can feel your caress, your temperature, your heartbeat. Murong's AI's voice carried a little bit of excitement and a little bit of pain. It was a very complicated emotion, so comfortable. So happy, damn, so perverted. Li Fan could only ridicule, but he was helpless. Fortunately, it didn't take long for Murong's AI's skin to slow down. Her breathing stabilized as if she was returning to normal. Chapter 624. Hee hee. Brother-in-law, when this little girl spoke, she seemed a bit lazy. Li Fan looked at her and felt that although she looked lazy, her body seemed to carry a kind of, very dangerous aura. Brother-in-law, do you feel that Rinjia has suddenly become more charming? Murong AI suddenly pushed Li Fan down on the sofa and then sat in his arms. She leaned close to his ear and sweetly said, Brother-in-law. Rinjia is now your slave. At that moment, Li Fan's blood was madly concentrated. He shamefully had such thoughts. What the fuck, this weird girl, did she really want to push him down? Li Fan's eyes turned red. He simply grabbed this girl's soft waist and lifted her up. Then he aimed at the right position and was about to push her down again to carry out a health exercise that he had never done before. But at this time, Murong AI stretched out her hands and pressed down on Li Fan's thighs, blocking his next move. Li Fan was very puzzled. His breathing began to become rough. This girl actually wanted to play tricks again. Brother-in-law, Rinjia can give it to you, but not now. Then when can it be? Li Fan was a little anxious. His hands slowly pressed down, but Murong AI was also using her palms to resist his strength. Brother-in-law. Murong AI hurriedly explained, Rinjia is now cultivating a poisonous insect. Because I have a purine body, I can refine myself into a top-grade furnace. These words, Li Fan seemed to have heard from someone. Oh, that's right, it was from the Medicine King Valley's Gates Elder. He wanted to refine Murong AI into a furnace and then enjoy her. Rinjia is refining herself into a furnace. This will take some time. When it is done, brother-in-law can eat Rinjia. That way, brother-in-law can obtain a cycle of power for free. A cycle of power for 60 years, this temptation was not light at all. A 60-year cycle's worth of power was enough for him to have 6 or 7 dragons. Coupled with his current strength, he could directly step into the ranks of a generation's grandmaster. But on the other hand, the temptation was not small, especially since the bullets were already loaded. When it comes to cultivation, it's better to take it step by step. As Li Fan spoke, he exerted more strength in his palm. However, Murong twisted her waist and used some unknown skill to break free from Li Fan's grasp. Like a water snake, she slid to the side. Brother-in-law, we can't be impatient. Murong loved to dissuade Li Fan. In order to make a furnace for brother-in-law, I have to eat all kinds of poisonous insects every day. It's so disgusting. Brother-in-law, you can't let my previous efforts go to waste. Fuck, then don't seduce me. Li Fan was on the verge of breaking down. I've already taken off my pants, and you're telling me this? Hee, I like to see brother-in-law unable to stop himself from doing it. Murong's words made Li Fan speechless. Shall AI? Sooner or later. I'll wear you, hee, Shao AI is looking forward to that day. Murong winked at Li Fan. Li Fan was so depressed that he couldn't say a word. As he was about to drive this infuriating little girl out, there was a knock on the door. Li Fan, are you there? Fuck. Li Fan almost collapsed. Murong. It was the middle of the night. She should be taking care of her aunt on the bed. Why the hell did she come here? Without hesitation, Li Fan pointed under the bed. And after Murong AI was infected by the human-faced arachnid, her movement technique had become much more superb. With a screech, she tunneled under the bed. She let the bedsheet hang down to hide her figure. Li Fan waited for the bedsheet to stabilize. At the same time, he hurriedly put on a pair of shorts. Then he opened the door. Murong seemed to have something to say to Li Fan. But when she saw Li Fan's appearance, 2 blushes flew up to her cheeks. She immediately spat. Rogue. Li Fan said, I'm wearing underpants, huh? He lowered his head and discovered that he was indeed wearing underpants. However, he was in a state where he was ready to go on a killing spree. He cut a sorry figure. Although Murong knew very little about the matters between men and women, she at least knew a thing or two about a man's lifeblood. It's the middle of the night. You're not sleeping. You're here in heat. Murong seemed to want to scold Li Fan, but her words didn't have any strength. Li Fan understood that at this very moment, the girl hiding under the bed must be stifling her laughter. That girl's favorite thing to do was to watch a play. Wife, you misunderstood. I'm practicing fist techniques. Li Fan immediately said in a righteous tone. Practicing fist techniques? What fist techniques? Murong was stunned. This is a fist technique that has been lost for a long time. I was able to comprehend it by chance. I was very lucky. What kind of fist technique is this? This fist technique is called the left and right interfighting technique. Huh? Murong was even more stunned. It sounded very awesome. This fist technique tests the degree of cooperation between the left and right hand. It was a set of combination punches, but there were dozens of fancy fighting styles. I heard that a long time ago, there was a left and right interfighting fist technique competition. But as time progressed, this fist technique gradually declined. Nowadays, very few people use it in front of others. When you practice fist techniques, your lower part. Why is it so high? Muronging still didn't quite believe it. Because when I practice fist techniques, my body's qi and blood boil. Li Fan continued to explain seriously, when my qi and blood boil, my lower part will naturally follow. I'm a man. When I practice with you women, it's naturally different. Li Fan's nonsense was getting more and more ridiculous. I see. Muronging seemed to be a little convinced. Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that his ability to make up nonsense was getting better. Then why don't you show me? In the end, Murong-Ying's next sentence made Li Fan dumbfounded. I want to see how powerful this left and right interfighting technique is. Murong-Ying very seriously looked at Li Fan, her eyes seemed to have a little expectation. No way. Li Fan's brain was also fucking fast as he immediately rejected Murong-Ying. Why? If you have the time to hide it from me? Murong-Ying seemed to be a little angry. Of course not. But this left and right interfighting technique needs to be done moderately every day. If it's too much, it will greatly deplete the body's qi and blood. I've already done it many times today. You suddenly came and wanted to see me practice fist techniques. If my qi and blood were to be depleted, wouldn't it be a loss? Li Fan's nonsense was made up in a serious manner. That's right, I was being rude. Murong-Ying nodded her head and apologized. If that's the case, then I won't see the fist technique. Li Fan felt relieved. She had caused enough trouble. It was time for her to leave. Anyway, you're not here for the fist technique. Sit down, let's have a chat. Murong-Ying sat on the bed and even patted the seat beside her. Chapter 625. Li Fan blinked his eyes, a bit dumbfounded. Fuck, what's going on? My fiancé wants to chat with me on my bed. And my sister-in-law is lying under the bed watching the show. This trick is a bit deep. What do you want to talk about? We haven't talked for a long time. Since we have the chance today, let's have a good chat. Murong-Ying said, otherwise, you'll have to leave tomorrow. Li Fan was in a dilemma, whether to chase her away or chat for a while. Chase her away. With Murong-Ying's character, she definitely won't leave. Forget it, let's sit down and chat for a while. Li Fan had to sit down. Although he felt wronged by Murong's love. But this girl likes to watch the show, so he didn't feel wronged. He sat down and looked at Murong-Ying beside him. Suddenly, he felt that these two sisters are quite similar. Li Fan felt someone was touching his feet. Fuck, even at this time, Murong is still so naughty when she loves this girl. She's quite bold, isn't she afraid that her sister will find out? Li Fan held back his temper and didn't lose his temper. Li Fan, I know you're quite independent, but sometimes, you should listen to my opinion. After all, I've been in the pugilistic world for a longer time than you. Murong-Ying said this in a pleasant tone, as if she was purposely trying to make Li Fan feel at ease. It seems that tonight, she really came to chat with Li Fan. Her attitude is quite good. Yes, you're right. Li Fan nodded, this Murong-Ying's words make sense. And, so sometimes, I want to help you, not to restrain you. Because I also know that you're not the kind of person who can be restrained. Murong-Ying sighed, as if regretting this point. But this time, you really shouldn't interfere with the mutant's matter. Bai Lin Luo is also a mutant, do you want me to watch him die? Li Fan asked. You know that's not what I meant. Murong-Ying immediately explained, I won't stop you from saving Bai Lin Luo. But you destroyed a tribunal and saved a special abilities bureau. Do you really think you're just protecting your brother, as simple as that? His words silenced Li Fan. In the end, it wasn't as simple as Bai Lin Luo. This time, it was a group of very powerful people who targeted the mutants. Murong-Ying said, their goal is to completely overthrow the Special Abilities Bureau and deal with all the mutants. If you interfere, you'll be breaking the rule that martial artists don't interfere with the secular world. will drag the entire pugilistic world into a terrifying bloodbath. Wife, have you ever thought of a question? Li Fan asked calmly. In the past, there were people in the martial arts world who often went to the secular world to make trouble, right? For this reason, a special department called the Embroidered Uniform Guard emerged. Yes, the Embroidered Uniform Guard specializes in dealing with such people. Yes, I'm not the first person to break the rules of the pugilistic world. Moreover, don't you think this incident with the Special Abilities Bureau is a warning? What warning? A warning to us. Li Fan lowered his voice and said word by word, once the cunning rabbit is dead, the hound is cooked. The Special Abilities Bureau used to have a lot of military exploits and privileges are very high. But now, the Special Abilities Bureau has declined and lost its right to speak. Moreover, because of its special power, it's not under the jurisdiction of the government, so it was purged. What about us? What about us, the pugilistic world? What's the difference between us and the Special Abilities Bureau? Wife, have you ever thought that maybe one day, the fate of the Special Abilities Bureau will be our future? This time, it was Murong Ying's turn to be silent. She was a little powerless to refute Li Fan's words. The fate of the Special Abilities Bureau. Li Fan actually saw a warning from it. Yet, he, the leader of the pugilistic world, didn't notice it at all. This was really a failure. What you said makes some sense. Maybe I should make some preparations. Murong Ying said, but there's one thing we're different from the Special Abilities Bureau. Murong Ying reminded Li Fan, our pugilistic world has a huge historical background. In our big families, there are also many people with great power in the world. This was indeed something the Special Abilities Bureau didn't have. Li Fan nodded and agreed with Murong Ying's statement. But since they can purge the Special Abilities Bureau today, they might really be able to purge the martial fighters next time. I should prepare early and observe their movements. Li Fan, you're getting more and more mature. You're beyond my expectations. As if you're so mature. Li Fan couldn't help but tease, aren't you also hopping mad when I annoy you sometimes? Bastard. Murong Ying immediately became angry when she heard Li Fan's words. This guy was really a pure bastard. You know best whether I'm a bastard or not. Li Fan laughed. Wife, I'm done talking. It's late. Let's go to bed. Go to hell. Who wants to sleep with you? Murong Ying stood up angrily. The pugilistic world is dangerous. Think about it yourself. With that, Murong Ying flicked her sleeves and walked to the door, ready to leave. Li Fan also breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that he finally sent her away. He was waving goodbye when Murong Ying suddenly turned her head and left behind a sentence. Tomorrow, be more careful. With that, Murong Ying left. Li Fan finally let out a sigh of relief. Just now, it was really dangerous. Li Fan pulled up the bedsheet and found that Murong Ying, this girl, had fallen asleep under his bed. This was a wonder. You really won. Li Fan couldn't help but give her a thumbs up. He quickly woke this girl up and forced her to go back to her room to sleep. This girl still wanted to sleep in his room. How could that be possible? He was a man of honor. Li Fan was lying on the bed. He was too tired. After several days of running around, his mind had been tense. Now that he was in his house, Li Fan closed his eyes and relaxed his mind. After a while, he fell into a deep sleep. But he didn't know that on the roof of his house, a woman was sitting cross-legged. This woman wore a blindfold, a black genie guard uniform, and a saber hung on her waist. Heartless saber Yushi. Under the moonlight, she looked like a painting. But at this moment, a figure quietly landed behind her, standing at the other end of the house. Sorry, this road is blocked. Yushi had actually sensed the figure behind her. She said coldly. The qinggong of the genie guard can only be sensed by their own people. The person replied. Both of them used 1,000-mile sound transmission to talk, as if to avoid waking people from their dreams. However, Li Fan must die under my thunderbolt palm tonight. Chapter 626. Ouyang Lei raised his right hand, and a red light flashed in his palm. In the last battle, he suffered a great loss at the hands of Li Fan, and he still couldn't forget it. This Li Fan, he must die. Whether it was for the mission or for himself, he couldn't let this person live. With me here, don't even think about succeeding. Yushi silently stood up, with her back facing Ouyang Lei, one hand on her black saber. Li Fan's name is hanging high on the black roll. Ouyang Lei said, "Do you still want to protect him? The black guards can act according to their own will." Yushi was very firm, "You can't change my mind with just a few words." Humph. The 4 black guards of the embroidered uniform guard have always been at odds. Ouyang Lei looked at Yushi, his eyes flashing with cold light, "But considering that we are colleagues, I have never made things difficult for you. But today, don't force me to kill. You can try." Yushi said, slowly turned around, looked at Ouyang Lei, and then gently pressed a finger on her eye mask, slowly pushing it up. "Are you crazy?" Ouyang Lei was shocked. "You want to remove the seal? Aren't you afraid of losing 10 years of your life? In order to protect Li Fan, so what if I have to die a horrible death?" Yushi smiled, and her smile seemed to have a different meaning under the moonlight. Her clothes slowly fluttered in the night wind, and a black saber was already unsheathed, hanging by her side. And on her body, there was a black true energy slowly emerging. Behind Yushi, there seemed to be a black devil, that oppressive aura, enveloping people, making it hard for them to breathe. Cold sweat flowed down Ouyang Lei's forehead. Yushi was the heartless saber, one of the 4 black guards. But among the black guards, her strength seemed to be the lowest. But the black guards were the most unique existence among the embroidered uniform guard. If Yushi didn't have some trump cards, how could she climb to this position? Yushi was different from the others. It was said that she was adopted by a mysterious high-ranking member of the embroidered uniform guard. Ordinary embroidered uniform guards practiced the minor phaseless magic. This was an evil art that could be learned quickly. Once mastered, it would become abnormally powerful. It was the undefeatable foundation of the embroidered uniform guards. But this minor phaseless technique is not something you can cultivate just because you want to. A new banner captain of the brocade guard could only practice the 1st or 2nd level of martial arts. And after he was promoted to Zongqi, he could practice the 3rd or 4th level of martial arts. As for the Baihu, they could train in the 5th or 6th level of martial arts. The Qian who could cultivate to the 7th level, while the commander could cultivate to the 8th level. Only great commanders could cultivate the 9th level mental cultivation method. They were supreme existences. However, only the 4 great black guards knew that there was an even more powerful and mysterious figure above the great commanders. No one knew his name. They only knew that his nickname was the Little Jade Emperor. His strength was divine, and he cultivated the great formless divine technique. This great formless magic was many times stronger than what they had cultivated. It was said that Yushi had cultivated this martial art since she was young, but she went berserk. In the end, the demonic art entered her body and damaged her meridians. From then on, Yushi's skills regressed. She went from a super expert who had 1 foot in the door of a grandmaster to the peak of perfection. However, her demonic art was still there. The Little Jade Emperor used a rare meteorite jade to make a special eyeball for her and embedded it in her eye socket. It was called Sin. He used this eyeball to seal her demonic art. If she needed to, she could activate this demonic art at any time. However, because her meridians were damaged, once she activated the demonic art, her lifespan would be reduced by 10 years. To Yushi, Sin was a last resort to save her life. Ouyang Lei did not expect that Yushi would go to this extent for the sake of Li Fan. This is no longer a simple protection. Yushi, the heartless saber. Did she fall in love with Li Fan? How heartless was this heartless saber? Back then, she found her biological parents, but both of them were fugitives from the embroidered uniform guards. Without saying a word, Yushi chopped off the heads of the two men. You, calm down. Ouyang Lei felt the existence of sin. His heart beat faster and he broke out in a cold sweat. Yushi stood there. Her missing eye was now a red gem. The gem emitted a red glow, which complemented the black true qi behind her, bringing about an unprecedented pressure. More black true qi lingered on Yushi's black saber, making it look even longer, like a 5-meter-long giant blade. Ouyang Lei, do you want to fight? Yushi took a step forward, and Ouyang Lei's heart skipped a beat. Crazy, you're really crazy. Ouyang Lei gritted his teeth in anger, but he did not have the courage to step forward. I won't let this matter rest. Ouyang Lei retracted the red light in his palm and said, the embroidered uniform guards will not let this matter rest. Yushi, think about how to explain it. With that, Ouyang Lei leaped into the air, using his qinggong, and quickly disappeared into the night. The black qi on Yushi's body slowly dispersed, and a trace of blood could be seen on the corner of her mouth. Yushi casually wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, and then put the black saber back into the scabbard, and continued to sit cross-legged on the roof. The moon was beautiful. When Li Fan woke up, it was already the next day. He had not slept so well for many days. This time, he slept very happily. Taizhu had already packed his luggage for him, and then personally sent Li Fan and Tang into the car outside the door. Where's Murong? Li Fan found that Murong and her sister were not there, so he asked. Eldest miss went out early in the morning. Taizhu replied, she brought the gold and silver swordsman back to Murong Villa. I heard that she was going to bring people to attack a branch of the Devil's Sect. Oh, I see, Li Fan said that Murong had always been like this. Although she said that she did not want to help, she still went to attack the branch of the Devil's Sect to relieve the pressure on Li Fan's side. As expected of Alliance Master Murong, you are really thoughtful. Tangan was very smart, and he also understood Murong Ying's intention, so he hurriedly flattered her. Regardless of whether Alliance Master Murong could hear it or not, he just needed to take pictures first. Where's Second Miss? Why didn't Xiao Ai come? Second Miss hasn't woken up yet, and seems to be a little tired last night. Young master, do you want me to wake her up? Oh, then let her sleep a little longer. Li Fan waved his hand. He was just asking. Since she was sleeping, there was no need to disturb her. Brother Tang, let's go. Okay, thank you for your hard work, Chief Escort Li. I, Xiao Qingfeng, will remember this favor. It's okay, it's okay. As Li Fan got into the car, he laughed. What do you mean by favor? There's no such thing. Later, just give me the money for the escort. Ah. Chapter 627. Tangan was stunned for a moment. He didn't understand what Li Fan meant. Look at you, you're not on the road. Li Fan said in all seriousness, Hero Tang, I run an escort agency. You want me to help you protect the goods, so you have to pay me, right? If you don't pay, you want me to work for free? Li Fan's words made Tangan speechless. Damn, what he said is not without reason. Tangan was in a daze. Li Fan said again, but since it's our first time working together, I should show some sincerity and make friends first. How about this, I'll give you a 50% discount. This time, I'll charge you half the price. 100,000 yuan, what do you think? At this moment, Tangan didn't know why but he wanted to cry. It was probably because he was distressed about the money. Brother, money is a bastard. If it's gone, we'll earn it again. Li Fan comforted Tangan, people, when it's time to spend money, they must spend it. For example, hiring an escort. What's my identity? I created the 7-hero fist, which is ranked 8th in the Divine Skill Manual. As for me, look, I'm now ranked 88th in the celebrity list. You're Luo Xuewu, Alliance Leader Luo, how many are they ranked? More than 100. Although Luo Xuewu's ranking was not high, her overall strength was very strong. Especially because of her strong personal charm, there were many experts gathered around her, many of whom were ranked in the top 100. This ranking had a certain value for reference, but it couldn't be completely based on the above. However, at such a young age, Li Fan was able to single-handedly kill his way into the top 100, which was truly an honor. He was able to climb up the rankings with his own strength. Sima Fang and Yin Wuchao were both his stepping stones. You say, for an expert of my level, it's only 100,000 yuan to help you, is it expensive? It's not expensive. Tang An inexplicably said it, but he immediately regretted it and wanted to slap his own mouth. That's right. Look, I know that Hero Tang is a reasonable person. Li Fan happily laughed. Tang An wanted to slap his own face more and more. This 100,000 is not a large sum to me, the Sword Reliance Shao Qingfeng. Tang An gritted his teeth and said, as long as head bodyguard Li can help us get through this crisis, I'll give you 100,000 yuan. How could such a large alliance be lacking in money? Li Fan chuckled, feeling even more pleased in his heart. As long as Li Wei didn't go, Li Fan would be confident in dealing with the demonic cult. Then I'll have to rely on Chief Escort Li. Tang An cupped his hands at Li Fan, but Li Fan seemed to say something carelessly. Lil Tang, I also have the famous Big Dipper, Flying Dragon, Yan Jing's 11 cavalrymen, and our 4 extraordinary cockroaches. Although their prices aren't as high as mine, they are still experts. Should I choose two? The corner of Tang An's mouth twitched. I think it's better to forget about it. Your escort agency does have many experts, but you alone are more than enough. Hero Tang, don't be in such a hurry to turn me down. Look, in order to meet the various needs of our customers, our agency has specially formulated a few packages that you can choose from. Li Fan said with a smile, one of them is the most luxurious Emperor package. You can choose 4 members of the Yan Jing's 11 cavalrymen and 2 junior heavenly kings to escort you. This package is priced at 3 million yuan, which is a great discount. The corner of Tang An's mouth twitched again, and his heart was probably bleeding. 3 million yuan. Although the Sword Reliance Shao Qingfeng was rich, money did not grow on trees. He definitely had to spend a lot of money to feed so many people. How could he be so wasteful? This package may indeed be a little expensive, but it doesn't matter. But don't worry, we still have economy packages. Li Fan said and offered a new plan to Tang An. I'll designate 1 member of the Yan Jing's 11 cavalrymen and myself for a total of 150,000 yuan. What do you think? The difference between the economy package and the Emperor package is a little too huge. Tang An felt like breaking down. Head escort Li. Young hero Li, Tang An couldn't help but ask, you are the son-in-law of Murong's family. How could you be short of money? What are you talking about? Li Fan was immediately unhappy when he heard that. How much money Murong's family has, even if they have a vault, has nothing to do with me. I earn my own money to spend. What's so shameful about that? No. Young hero Li is a model among the young heroes. You are worth learning from. Tang An hurriedly cupped his hands and flattered Li Fan. It would be great if the young people nowadays were as ambitious as young hero Li. Unfortunately, the kids nowadays only want to take fewer detours. All the men want to marry a fair, rich, and beautiful woman immediately. I'm different from them. Li Fan could also hear the flattery in Tang An's tone. This guy's flattery was too strong. Young hero Li, we will have to ride horses from here. The two of them had already arrived at the ancient road of camels and horses. There is a rule in the pugilistic world. All pugilistic people must ride horses when they arrive at the ancient road of camels and horses. Muronging had already prepared 2 Fergana horses for the two of them. All right. Li Fan had already matured quite a bit. He wasn't like the ignorant youth from back when he first started practicing martial arts. He was unhappy with everyone and wanted to break any rules. There is still quite a distance from here to Kunlun Mountain. Tang'an reminded Li Fan, young hero Li, let's travel through the night. Alright, let's go. Li Fan and Tang'an rode the Fergana horses together. After riding for 3 days and 3 nights, they finally arrived at the ancient road near Kunlun Mountain. After 2 more mountains, we will see Kunlun Mountain. Tang'an pointed with a gratified expression. If Alliance leader Luo knew you came, I wonder how she would react. What reaction can she have? She doesn't know me either. Li Fan mumbled in his heart. I will go look for Smiling Sword Breeze's fellow sect members. Young hero Li, you can go to the inn in front first. I will look for you later. Tang'an cupped his hands and said. Alright. Li Fan was also a little tired, then I will go and stay. You can look for me later. He rode a fast horse and arrived at the inn alone. Immediately, a waiter came out and led this good horse to feed fodder. Li Fan walked into the inn and saw the innkeeper standing at the front desk drowsily. Innkeeper, give me a better room. There is only one lower room left. Do you want it? The innkeeper liked to ignore him. Oh, then I will go to another inn. Li Fan was a little angry. Fuck, did he think his home was the Imperial Palace? His words were too uncomfortable. How could he treat his customers like this? Ha, go and find one. The innkeeper grinned, this area of 10 li is already full. Recently, Smiling Sword Breeze has started to recruit new members. There are too many people coming. Li Fan frowned slightly. At this moment, someone beside him shouted, lower room it is. I want it. Chapter 628. Li Fan turned around and saw a familiar person standing beside him. He was dressed in luxurious clothes with a sword hanging on his waist and a stack of cash in his hand. His expression was one of complacency. This guy. Li Fan would never forget him. Pa! Li Fan suddenly struck out with his palm, but his opponent used the 8 trigram steps of the 8 trigram school and took a step back, dodging Li Fan's palm. Brother Li, why are you so angry? That person was smiling while playing with a black jade fan in his hand, gently waving it like a noble son. He turned to look at the innkeeper and said with a smile, Innkeeper, give this person some herbal tea to calm his anger. Lu Zhu, you still dare to show your face? When Li Fan saw this guy, he was furious. Hand over my 4 elephants sword and the 9 Buddha Sutra. Li Fan reached out his hand to grab Lu Zhu. But Lu Zhu flicked his black jade fan and shot a black poisonous needle straight at Li Fan's forehead. Great sage star picking. Li Fan caught the poison needle with 2 fingers and pinched it in his hand. Lu Zhu, you are still the same. Li Fan looked at the poisonous needle that was glowing with blue light and couldn't help but sneer. It's not like Brother Li can't take it, I know what I'm doing. Lu Zhu shrugged his shoulders, besides, Brother Li was the one who hurt me first. I just reacted subconsciously to save my life. Lu Zhu, what kind of trick are you playing? Li Fan looked at Lu Zhu coldly. Laughing Sword Breeze recruitment, let me have a try. Lu Zhu said with a smile. Interesting. Li Fan looked at Lu Zhu from head to toe. As a Devil Sect disciple, you went to the Golden Eagle Castle's marriage contest and even came to the Laughing Sword Breeze recruitment. Lu Zhu, it seems like your position in the Devil Sect is not low. This Devil Sect disciple must be very busy. You flatter me. My status in the Devil cult is really not high. That's why I have to work so hard to get promoted and raise my salary. Lu Zhu replied with a smile while Li Fan clenched his fists. Alright, since you've delivered yourself to my doorstep, I won't stand on ceremony. Today, you can leave behind the 4 symbols sword and the 9 Buddha Sutra. I do have the 4 symbols sword with me. If Brotherly wants it, I will give it to you. As Lu Zhu spoke, she took the sword from her waist and threw it to Li Fan. Li Fan caught it. Li Fan was a little surprised. He handed over the 4 elephants' swords so casually. As for that 9 Buddha Sutra, I naturally can't bring such a precious thing with me. Lu Zhu said, when we return from Kunlun Mountain, I will naturally take it out and give it to you. How about that? What kind of trick are you playing? Li Fan frowned and looked at Lu Zhu. There's no trick. I'm not the main force of the devil cult's attack on the leaning sword on the breeze. I'm just here to join in the fun. Lu Zhu shrugged his shoulders. Don't tell me that you, the dignified little overlord Li Fan, are afraid of me. Afraid? I'm scared to death. Li Fan directly said, this guy, your martial art is not good, but your head is full of evil ideas. Even if I'm more powerful and can beat you, I can't open your brain and see what kind of evil ideas you have in your head. Alright. Lu Zhu seemed to be particularly helpless. Since Brotherly doesn't believe me, then just kill me. Then, see if you can find that 9 Buddha Sutra on my body. Li Fan frowned. It's better to stay by Lu Zhu's side and see what kind of trick he is playing. Li Fan made up his mind and asked the shopkeeper, Shopkeeper, give me another room. Sorry, this is the only room. The shopkeeper shrugged his shoulders. Lu Zhu opened his black jade fan, covered his mouth and laughed. Brotherly, it's really unfortunate. The last empty room in this town has been reserved by me. Brotherly, you can only sleep on the street for the time being. If you need, I can give you a quilt. There's no other way. Who told me to be so kind? Oh, it's okay. Li Fan snatched the room card from Lu Zhu's hand. I can squeeze with you and live in the same room. No way. Lu Zhu was somewhat panicked. Li Fan secretly laughed. Humph, he must have some crafty plot and is afraid to expose himself in front of me. We're all men, why not? Didn't you tell me to follow you? I have to stick close to you until you give me the 9 Buddha Sutra. You're too overbearing. Lu Zhu angrily looked at Li Fan, as if he wanted to eat Li Fan. How am I overbearing? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. You're the one who told me to follow you. But you can't live in the same room. This is a king-sized room. This is an inn, what king-sized room? Li Fan rolled his eyes. Rest assured, I'm not interested in men. Go upstairs, go upstairs. After a tiring day, let's take a bath and sleep. You. Lu Zhu angrily stomped his feet, but Li Fan already took his room card and went upstairs. Lu Zhu frowned and asked the shopkeeper. Shopkeeper, are there any other rooms? Only the stable is left to sleep in. Fuck your sister. Lu Zhu almost swallowed dung to commit suicide. Who wants to sleep in the stable? He had no choice but to follow Li Fan upstairs. In any case, he only stayed for a day. Tomorrow morning, he could go to Kunlun Mountain. When Lu Zhu went upstairs, he left a gap in the door. Li Fan was not there, but he could hear the sound of running water coming from the bathroom. This Li Fan really trusted him that much? Lu Zhu saw 2 swords hanging on the side, for symbols and a hero. If one of these 2 swords were to be thrown into the pugilistic world, it would set off a terrible reign of terror. Li Fan, this guy, recklessly wasting God's gift, hanging it on a wall that's still covered in moss. Speaking of which, this inn was really shabby, no wonder it was a low-class room. Not to mention the dirty and broken walls, the bed is also very small. How is this a king-sized bed? This is clearly a standard bed. This width is probably the width of 2 military beds. No way. I'm going to take this bed for myself. Thinking of this, Lu Zhu directly jumped onto the bed and lay down. He decided to sleep with his clothes on, and occupy the bed first. But he felt that his body was sticky. This weather, the surroundings were humid, and after a day's journey, he sweated a lot. It was really uncomfortable. It was better if he did not think about it, but once he thought about it, he felt even more uncomfortable. Bastard! When are you going to finish bathing? I want to bathe too. Lu Zhu shouted at the top of his lungs. Soon. Li Fan's lazy voice floated out. After a while, he directly walked out, wrapped in a towel. Lu Zhu felt that her whole body was stiff. At that moment, she felt that the blood in her veins had stopped flowing. Li Fan's body was quite good, without exaggerated muscles, and the lines were very good. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.